Philadelphia, a Beasley Media Group station, broadcasting live from the Comcast Business Studios, powering possibilities. 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
And a good Friday morning, Philadelphia. I'm Andrew Salchunas. It's the midday show right here on 97.5 The Fanatic. A snow day across the Philadelphia area. I hope everybody who is heading to work today drives safely. It wasn't all that bad for me coming in from South Jersey. I did see a car actually spin off the highway and go off to the side of the road a little bit. So, it's still icy. You should probably not accelerate on curves on highways to try to pass a truck when it's snowing like this. So, just be careful out there. And if you're not going to work and you're just hanging out for the day, man, aren't you lucky? God bless you. I miss those days. Whew, those are the fun days. But we don't do that, Ray. We're here. As you tweeted out earlier today, we are essential workers, which is why we are on the air until 2 o'clock. And, of course, as essential workers, we have to talk about what pisses us off the most, and that's Eagles football, right? Because that's what we do. And, look, we're all just kind of waiting for the news to come. We're waiting for the news to come out about whether or not Nick Sirianni will remain as head coach of the Philadelphia Eagles. I've been saying it for the last couple of days. Yesterday, I straight up said it would be a mistake if the Eagles were to bring him back because there was too much that unfolded under his watch, under his nose, over the span of 2 months, from a 10-1 record to 11-6 to getting embarrassed by the Buccaneers in the playoffs. Too much unfolded under his nose for me or anybody to feel comfortable saying he should come back as the head coach. I don't believe you should feel comfortable with him back as the head coach. I compare it to the Brandon Staley situation. I hated Brandon Staley. No, I don't hate Nick Sirianni. I thought Brandon Staley was a terrible, terrible, terrible head coach. And he was just talked up because he was one of those young guys. He was part of that McVay coaching staff, right? And so everybody thought he was going to be this great head coach. And he was a mess. He was abysmal. He was terrible. And yet they gave him one more chance. They fired all the other coaches. They gave him one more chance. They gave him a chance to hire all his coordinators. And what happened? He didn't finish out the season. Now you have to have another completely changed coaching staff because whatever head coach you hire, they're going to want their coordinators, right? I don't want to do that. I don't want Nick Sirianni to go into next season with new coordinators, and now we're watching him totally different than we were going into this past season. And every single time something looks good, we're going to be talking about whether or not they made the right decision bringing him back. And if they fire him mid-season toward the end of the season, same thing. Next head coach that comes in here is going to have to hire new coordinators all over again, and then we're back to ground zero. Now, coach aside, because I don't want to just talk coach every single day, especially when we're basically at this point just waiting for the news to drop. Coach aside, I want to focus on Howie Roseman and Jeffrey Lurie today. And there's a lot of ways to talk about them. One, their involvement with everything, right? Hiring coaches that may appease them in terms of what they want, organizational philosophies, the bend but don't break, no big plays allowed on defense, and then on offense, a very analytic approach and a very pass-happy approach, to the point where a couple of years ago, Doug Peterson was chastised by Jeffrey Lurie after a win for running the football too much. But it's not all doom and gloom with Jeffrey Lurie and Howie Roseman. I understand that Howie Roseman, I think, deserves more blame than what he has gotten for the downfall. Let's face it, the talent on defense sucked, and we knew that going into this season. I don't think we thought Hassan Reddick and Josh Sweat would basically fall off the face of the earth, after the midway point of the season. But that's because of the lack of depth that they provided them, right? They had to play all those snaps. I had no problem with the corners coming back, but I did have a problem with the linebacker situation. I had a problem with the safety situation, as did everybody. And we pointed that out going into the season, and it ended up killing them at times this year. But ultimately, we know that they have been a successful duo. Jeffrey Lurie has been a successful owner, period. But the team of Lurie and Howie Roseman has led you to a Super Bowl victory, the first in franchise history, the only in franchise history, and another Super Bowl appearance. 2 Super Bowl appearances in 6 seasons, right? Like, that's something to not ignore. Now, is their method the best thing for a team where it's, really high highs and then quick lows not too long after? Maybe not, but they've had success. And they got out of it one time with the Wentz and Doug Peterson era and got back to a Super Bowl 2 years later. My question for you today at 610-632-0975 is whether or not you think they can fix things again. This turmoil, this demise, this downfall of the Eagles, nowhere near where it was a couple of years ago. A couple of years ago, they go 4-11-1, right? Like, they were one of the worst teams in football. That's not the case this year. This year, you have talent, and maybe voices were no longer being heard. I had Jeff McClain on yesterday. He was talking about the young kids and the vets, and maybe they weren't seeing necessarily eye to eye. Now, I'm not going to celebrate the fact that some of those voices will be gone because I respect those voices, but maybe times are changing in NovaCare. Jason Kelsey could be retiring. Fletcher Cox, who knows what he ends up doing. Brandon Graham wants to come back for one more year if the Eagles allow it, right? It's going to be that next level of guys, the next group of guys that have to be the veterans inside that locker room. Like, there is going to be a lot of change. But this team is still talented. So it's not like they're, a bottom dweller team going into next season already. No, they're still going to be a playoff team next year. Whether it's division winner or fighting for a wild card spot. And maybe not even fighting. It's not like they had to fight for a wild card spot this year. They clinched a playoff spot in week 11 or week 13 after they lost, or going into the Seattle game. Like, they clinched the playoff spot. There was no fighting, needing to fight to get to the playoffs for them. So I imagine they're in the playoffs again next year. But ultimately, the goal is to get back to a Super Bowl and win it. Do you have the faith in Jeffrey Lurie and Howie Roseman to fix it again? I will tell you I do. Now, I will also say this. I don't think it's that hard. I don't think what they have to do is all that difficult. Now, I'm not controlling cap, right? I'm not going to pretend to know the money situation with the Eagles, right? Like, obviously, that's up to Howie Roseman. But the plan really isn't all that hard. I don't know what the deal is with A.J. Brown. I'm going to just assume that he's back next year, right? So you retain A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert. You got Jalen Hurts thrown to him. Hopefully he gets back to that level or close to that level we saw 2 seasons ago. And now your offense is great again. The biggest concern is can Cam Jurgens, make it seem like it's not that major of a loss with Jason Kelsey now gone. You're going to have to fix the right guard situation because Cam Jurgens is now sliding to right guard to center. But that's one area, right? Defense is the big deal. But the defense, that. It's not a mystery. If you watch this defense this past year, I don't think there's anybody that makes you say, let's give that guy one more shot to see what he's got. No, the defense was abysmal. And so, yeah, you're probably going to bring a couple guys back on one-year prove-it deals. But then for the most part, it's going to be an overhaul. And I don't think that's all that hard to come to terms with. There's going to be free agents available. There's a plan going into the draft. They're going to have to start young at some point at cornerback. So I don't think it's all that difficult of a plan going into the offseason to, hey, let's fix the defense. No, duh. Yeah, that's exactly what they do, what they need to do. So I do have faith that they're going to be able to fix it. Do I think they're going to have a turnaround where they're back in the Super Bowl next year? No, not yet. I mean, there's a lot of questions that still need to be answered. I can't come up to that determination on January 19th when the divisional round of the playoffs for the other teams that remain take place this weekend. But I do believe in this front office because they've done it a couple of times. Howie Roseman is not on a hot seat yet, all right? And he knows that he has faith in Jeffrey Lurie, or has the faith from Jeffrey Lurie toward him. He's got the power to do a lot of things. They are innovative to an extent. So I do believe they could fix it. What I want to hear from you today at 610-632-0975 is whether or not you believe they can fix this thing again. And I'm saying Nick Sirianni aside. As good or bad as coaching is, the talent was an issue defensively. You get half better defensively, your 11-6 record is probably 12-5, 13-4. And I believe they can do that. 610-632-0975. Fanatic Fridays presented by Pumpman Philly for 24/7 emergency repair or pump replacement. Count on Pumpman Philly, the guys who know to fix your flow. If something does come down today, obviously we will react to it, right? I don't know. Is Jeffrey Lurie still in the Caribbean? It's snowing outside. I don't know if he's going to be able to fly home safely today. But hopefully we get some sort of answer today about the status of Nick Sirianni. It could happen during the show. Could happen later on the day. Wouldn't be surprised that if they did keep him and a lot of Philadelphia fans don't want him back, that it happens later on this afternoon as a little weekend news dump. Wouldn't be surprised by that at all. And then we will all react to it on Monday. So we'll see how it goes. I want to hear from you at 610-632-0975. Do you believe this Eagles front office can fix things again? I say yes. Get your calls next, Ray's thoughts next, and also we're going to have some fun with the snow day. I mean, I can't ignore the fact that it's snowing out there today. I brought in Ray's duster. Is that what you call it? What do you call it?
Scraper?
Scraper? Yeah, but it was the scraper with the brush part. I don't know what the technical term is.
Snow brush?
Maybe. Snow scraper.
Snow scraper?
Snow scraper for a car. I just want to,
I think you're overthinking this.
snow brush.
I think everyone knew what you meant.
Yeah, I know, but I want to know what the exact terminology
I don't think there's a scientific term for it.
All right, well,
I'm just happy to have one. Thanks for it.
Yeah, of course. You're welcome. I look after you. All right, so we'll have some snow day fun as well, all right here on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
Meeting of the Minds. I'm Ray Dunn. This update is brought to you by Lowe's. Shop the closeout event now at Lowe's with big savings on the appliances you need now. Lowe's knows home improvement. Shop the closeout event now at Lowe's. Nick Sirianni to meet with Jeffrey Lurie. The Philadelphia Inquirer's Jeff McClain reported yesterday that Eagles head coach Nick Sirianni will meet with owner Jeffrey Lurie on Friday. That is today. The Athletics' Diana Rossini reported earlier this week that Sirianni and Howie Roseman have been reaching out to NFL coaches and coordinators as Sirianni prepares his plan for Lurie that will be presented in that meeting. In other Eagles coaching news, offensive coordinator Brian Johnson completed his third head coach
More with Andrew Salchunas on 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
1021, 97.5 The Fanatic. I'm Andrew Salchunas, the Midday Show. Our 10 o'clock hour brought to us by Window Nation. Take advantage of Window Nation's 50% off sale on all style windows, plus make no down payment with no payments and no interest for 12 full months. Call 866-90Nation or visit windownation.com. Now, before I get to the phones, before I get to Ray's thoughts, in case you missed the opening segment, I will just repeat what the question of the day is today, our main topic. But, dude, I got to show a little love to the Orange and Black last night. Nice win over the Stars. I mean, that's a statement win because you're trying to see where the Flyers are against some of the other top teams in the NHL. The Stars had a good record going into it. Flyers beat them up. And how about one of maybe the goal of the year by Owen Tippett?
Dallas gets it back to the line, and a shot missing the net from the far point was Handley. Philadelphia the other way. Tippett with speed, cuts into the middle. Dipsy do back in. He scores! Oh, what a goal by Owen Tippett! It's highlight real time as Tippett's got his second of the game, and the Flyers go up 5-1.
Dude, 3 in the third for the Flyers. They go up 5-1. They win it. They're in second place in the Metro, right behind. You know, they're right there. They're right there. I can't believe it. It's been so much fun to watch. And you know what's freaking awesome? When that goal happens last night, Twitter blows up, which tells me people are watching. Right? When Twitter blows up about something that happened in a game, Eagles game, we're all tweeting about it, right? Sixers game, we're all tweeting about it. Now all of a sudden the Flyers, something happens, and Twitter is, was on fire last night. That was great. Another good win for the Flyers. They've been a joy to watch. It's a breath of fresh air. I said it the other night when I was doing the Sixers Youth Gala with Bob Cooney and Tyrone Johnson. One of the first things I said starting that show was, man, I'll be honest. Selfishly, this is nice because it was 2 hours of Sixers talk, right? Like, we didn't talk about the Eagles. The only mention of the Eagles was when the Diana Rossini tweets first came out 2 nights ago. Like, that was nice to just talk Sixers for 2 hours. And, look, obviously, we're not going to talk Flyers for the entire 4-hour program today. Like, today is not fully all about the Flyers because there are so many big things about the Eagles that we must discuss. But I would love to open it up to Flyers talk today at 610-632-0975 because don't look now, but this team is continuing to make a statement to ownership and the front office about whether or not they should do something for the playoff run. Now, I get it. I brought up the Danny Briere a few weeks ago, said no matter what kind of success we have, we are still sticking to the plan, but they're in second place in the Metropolitan Division. I'm not saying go out there, make some big splash, and give up everything that you're building on already, right? Because this is year one. This is year one of the rebuild. But I find something interesting that I kind of came up with that, if you remember, Christmas Day and New Year's Day, we had a special program running. It was the Talk Stars. I had Bob Cooney and John Kincaid and Tyrone Johnson and Ricky Patalico. And I asked a question. And as I continue to watch this team play, I'm starting to truly believe a mindset that they may have. All they heard was how this was the rebuild year. All they heard was how this team was supposed to suck going into this season. And if you remember last year was a mess, but Couturier was hurt all season long. Cam Atkinson wasn't playing. There was issues with some players that are no longer here that weren't even playing at that point, right? Like, there was a lot of crap that was going on in the Flyers organization last year. And, oh, by the way, they still had Chuck Fletcher. They let that guy work up until the trade deadline, does what he does at the trade deadline, and then they fired him, which I thought was a colossal mistake. And I just wonder, going into a season when they're being told all about how they're supposed to lose and how this is the beginning of a rebuild and, not a retooling like the Eagles a couple years ago. Like, this is a rebuild, start from scratch. And I wonder if some guys took exception to it. And Sean Couturier, your best player, is back and healthy this year. And maybe that lit a bit of a fire. Plus, you also have the right coach to continue that fire burning. Somebody may have lit a match, and then he decided to pour gasoline on top of it, which lit the entire fire. Because I don't know if John Tortorella came here all about a rebuild. And so watching the Flyers play this season, I don't know. I wonder if that's a mentality in the locker room. Good morning, Ray.
Good morning. You want to know what it is?
What is it?
This is what it is. This is what's got them going. This is exactly why they're doing it.
So is this the official victory song of the Flyers now?
I think it has to be, right?
So if people don't know what this is, there's a video of Squirtle, the Pokemon, with a saxophone playing this song. I don't know where it started.
No idea either.
I have no idea.
The song is Runaway by someone project. I've just found it earlier today.
Whatever the song is, I know it circulates all over social media, and apparently it is now playing inside the locker room of the Flyers after victories. And look, they're winners of 5 straight games now. They hit a little bit of a skid a few weeks ago, and now they're right back in it, 5 straight wins. And so, look, it's exciting. It is really exciting. It's been a lot of fun. It's fun to be able to watch afternoon hockey tomorrow. They play Colorado and Philly at 1 o'clock. So, look, I would love to also open it up to some Flyers talk. But the main question of the day regarding the Eagles, do you believe this front office can fix things again? It's not as drastic as last time where they were 4-11-1 and they had to completely retool everything, reshape everything. It looks like, by most reports, that the head coach will be back. So it's not like they're firing a new head coach and needing to draft a new quarterback. Like, coach will still be here. Quarterback will still be here. It's the overhaul they need to do on defense and tweak some things offensively and obviously get in some minds in here that actually make this offense work. You know, you have way too much talent for it to be putting around a highway, right? It's a Ferrari. Let it fly. So, Ray, I'll ask you, do you believe this front office, specifically Jeffrey Lurie and Howie Roseman, will be able to fix things again for the Philadelphia Eagles?
I think they can fix things again. My question is, can they build it something that's sustainable?
Right.
And that's like the greater question of keeping Sirianni too, because I think that's a bigger piece of all this. I trust that Howie Roseman will take a situation that does not look promising, make some tweaks to it, and can put them on a path to go win a Super Bowl. I think at this point, it's been fool me once, fool me twice with a team that's built for sustained success under him. Because we're already questioning the long-term viability of it. And regardless of Sirianni's decision, either you keep him and you get new coordinators, and then I question, well, if those new coordinators come in, they're successful, the coordinators get poached again, do we walk down this path one more time? Or you bring in another new head coach, which we've seen what they've done over the last 2 head coaching hires. They bring in a guy that is not highly sought after,
right,
but they think highly of and interviews well with them. They put all the resources into putting, the first 2 seasons, they get themselves built up. And the question is, can they sustain it from there? And I don't know it seems like both times the weight of expectation inside of that building played a role in the collapse beyond a Super Bowl season. And that to me can they fix it? Yes, absolutely they can fix it. Can they fix it to the point where I think it's sustainable? Well, I don't buy it.
And so the expectations thing is interesting because, how many times have we heard, Jeffrey Lurie and Howie Roseman, once things aren't going the right way, they won't be slow to make moves, right? It's not expectations from us, which is why I got annoyed when Shefty said that a few weeks ago. Bro, just look at the guys you probably get your information from. Like, it's expectations from them, and it's demands from them, as they should, right? A GM and an owner of a football team should do whatever it takes to win, right? Like, you don't want to be the Panthers and have your owner dumping drinks on people, right? Like, you want what's best for your football team. And so I appreciate that they have that kind of, mindset. Maybe it's a little too aggressive, but at the same time, we do want our owner and GM to want what's best for the football team, right?
Invested, not involved. I want him invested in what's happening. I don't necessarily need him involved. And it feels like a trickle-down effect here.
But what is the involvement of Howie Roseman? Like, what is the involvement that you want?
But that's also, it feels like a trickle-down effect here. We're talking about an owner who started to take more of as soon as things started to fall apart, was looking at what was happening. We know that the general manager is incredibly involved. And I think it was Jeff McClain yesterday on with you saying that, in terms of setups across the NFL, Roseman's more involved than most.
Oh, absolutely. We know that
and
for a fact.
You go down to Sirianni. Sirianni, who was, is he the CEO type? Well, if you're the CEO type, why is there confusion over who's actually calling the plays? Why is there confusion over roles that were supposed to be, dealt out?
And if he stays, then there has to be an offensive coordinator that has full control of the offense. Like, look, I don't want Sirianni back. You know that. I've been very open about that. My only exception would be they hire an offensive coordinator that's got full control. because whatever it is that Nick Sirianni had his fingers on did not work. None of it worked, to the point where your quarterback, or people close to him, sources said, Jalen Hurts was unhappy with the direction of the offense, with what Nick Sirianni was doing. There was discourse between Nick Sirianni and Brian Johnson where they didn't agree on certain things in game. Let the guy just work. If he's the OC and he's calling plays, let him just work. Don't get in his ear. And then Jalen Hurts never denied the report. So, look, if you're going to have an OC come in here and it's one of these flashy OCs that everybody's excited about, or one of these flashy offensive minds, maybe they're not an OC yet because they might be getting coaching jobs, but some guy that they think highly of to be an OC in the NFL, Nick Sirianni needs to step back and let him do all of it. And then just really, really focus on everything else.
But similar to the way we asked the question of, can Howie Roseman do that? Can Sirianni, under this umbrella of, okay, here's the expectation of the roster we've delivered to you, are you going to be able to step back and put your fate in someone else's hands?
This is when Howie Roseman drops the power move of, you like being coach here? Whether that's right or wrong, that's what Howie Roseman does. Hey, you like being the head coach of this team? Are you going to be... Look, that might be part of the PowerPoint. Hey, here's my coordinators. This will be my involvement in the offense. Because look, the fact that he never took over play calling when it was not going, it was terrible. And I wanted him to do it just so I could know whose offense it truly was. He probably knows he's not a good play caller. He may know that he's not this offensive genius. We saw that this year. Maybe it's up to him to find this new flashy offensive coordinator that he can trust himself as the head coach, and he's got to sell it to Howie and Jeffrey, but he might have to tell them themselves, like, yeah, they're going to have full control of the offense. He's always honest about full control of the defense. He barely sits in the defensive meetings, right? He lets them have full control of the defense, except this year, Sean Desai, and them stripping him of his play calling duties and Matt Patricia taking over, even though it was Howie Roseman. He might have to have the OC have full control of the offense, and that might be a part of the plan.
Well, and you got to go back to when you talk defense, too, the principles. Like the principles of what he does. We talk about the principles of his offense. It's been made abundantly clear that while he is not the defensive mind, it's the defense that he wants run for him, and this organization. Like, what are they going to value going forward? What can they take, what can they glean from this season, and what can they take going forward? Because as much as it's a conversation of what went wrong this year, it's what has to go right next year. And that's like, what are you going to change? What are principles that you believe in that you're sticking to? What are your convictions here? And what you can go into that meeting and try and, like, we're almost suggesting this meeting is don't have any conviction, go in there, with your tail between your legs and just say, what do you guys want to do? Like, I would rather him go in there with some conviction and try and drive home what he thinks is right for this football team. And if it works out for him to get the job back, then, we have to deal with it for, at least one more season versus, go in there with no conviction. Like, I don't want a head coach going in there basically, laying over and saying, hey, whatever you guys want.
I know you don't want that, but if Nick Sirianni's open to it because he wants to remain head coach of a football team, he might do it. Again, I don't know Nick Sirianni enough. I told you the other day, we know that Doug Peterson was loyal to his guys. I don't know if Sirianni is. Just because Doug Peterson was, I don't know if Sirianni is. After year one, they weren't talking about firing guys, right? There was no, like, hey, come back with the coordinators, right? He kept all his guys. Now that he's on a hot seat, is Nick Sirianni this loyal guy where he's going to say, I ride with Brian and Sean? He's not going to.
Well, he's not doing that for Sean.
Well, no, we know that for a fact. But I don't know if he's like that. He might say, yeah, man, we got to get Brian out of here. You know what I mean? He might.
Or just not say anything when they say we need to get Brian out of here.
Right.
Because, again, I don't think it's going to be him that says.
Dog world out here, man.
I don't think it's going to be him that says, hey, Brian Johnson's got to go. I think it's going to be them sitting in there like, all right, you think this brain trust's working? He's like, no. Like, okay, well, what's the fix? Well, $250 million quarterback. If you're going to pull someone out of that room and Nick Sirianni wants to remain in that room, it's going to be,
it's going to be the OC. But then the only problem is, does the organization believe that Sirianni can still run a tight ship as the head coach, or is this a Brandon Staley situation where they probably should have just parted ways with him and instead we're going to do it at some point during the season. And to me, that is where I kind of am, and I think it would be a mistake to bring him back. Let's go to the phones. Let's talk to Chris in Allentown. Chris, you're on the Fanatic.
Yo, dude, I was going to call you on Tuesday. I told you I'd call you back, dude, on my 50-13, whole thing. Listen, dude, just so you know, I made $5 off that bet because I took Tampa Bay plus points.
All right, well, there you go.
I'm not a stupid football guy, but I wanted to get behind my team.
Happy day, man.
You know, the front office thing, man, I'm not down with the front office because, you know, they play too much analytical stuff, man. You know, I do the analytics during the planning during the week and kind of say this is what we're seeing here. That's fine. But when you start bringing those analytics into the game itself, and that's 60.
But here's the problem, right, Chris? And look, I'm not Mr. Analytics, right? I'm a caveman for all I know, the way I talk about analytics. But here's what they will tell you, Chris. All right, we hear your concerns, but, you know, we did win a Super Bowl using heavy amounts of analytics. We did get back to the Super Bowl using heavy amounts of analytics.
I get it.
I don't think Chris, I don't think the analytics told them that Nicholas Moreau is a good linebacker. You know what I mean?
I don't know. Maybe it was the size, the height, the speed, but nobody said that nobody tested the mentality on the analytics part of that. And that's the problem. I mean, Howie Roseman turned around. Listen, I agree. Like, our offense, we knew coming in our offense had to carry this defense. But when this offense played the entire season, we got 10, 11 wins out of this season. But the way they played, they didn't carry anything. And this defense, I mean, old, slow, not switching up the defensive ends like we did last year.
I thought that was their biggest issue with the defense was the lack of depth to actually have guys rotate, to allow Josh Sweat and Hassan Reddick to have breathers during games. Because, I mean, look, Josh Sweat got his first sack the other night since November. You know what I mean? Like, that was terrible. It had been 6 weeks since his previous sack.
Yes, and I mean that was a terrible game. It was a terrible end of the season.
Oh yeah.
And I don't think Nick deserves to lose his job yet. That's just on me. I think that we all make mistakes in life, and I know it's a multi-billion-dollar company. We all make mistakes, and
for 2 months.
Well, listen, I mean, there is a lot of dynamics inside of a football team.
There sure are.
You know that.
There sure are. But as he always says, Chris, it starts with me. Thanks for the call, brother. Enjoy your weekend. Starts with him. You have a tweet for me, Ray?
Yeah, so we tweeted out from the Midday Show today, regardless of the decision made on Sirianni, do you believe in the Eagles' upper leadership to turn this around again? We got a response from William. William saying, if Sirianni stays, then upper management is a bust. There's more here at risk than keeping a substandard head coach. The GM needs to be better at his job. 2023 season was a complete bust regarding personnel. Add that to the fact that the coaching staff in total failed.
Yeah, I'm in agreement, which is why I think it's a mistake for bringing back Nick Sirianni. The problem is, if they do bring him back, is it also because they feel like they can do certain things with Nick Sirianni? Or the next I don't want to say no name, but the next unknown head coach that they hire. Because they're not going to, look, the Belichick dream, like, that's not happening. I know it. I want it, but I know it's not going to happen because of the power struggle. It's going to be another head coach that not many people know about. To their credit, one won a Super Bowl. One got them back to a Super Bowl. But it's just the same thing every single time. And then we get back to, I had a guy tweeting at me the other day. Let me try to find this. I think it was tongue-in-cheek, but we were talking about how, all right, you hire another I keep on saying no name, unknown head coach, and then coordinators, and those coordinators end up being really good, and then they end up getting hired by another team. Here he goes, Martin Roach, about 22 hours ago. He says, so you want mediocre coordinators who aren't good enough to move up? Like, no, that's not the point. Like, no, I don't want bad coordinators because that means the team loses. But what I'm saying is I want whoever the head coach is, I want that head coach to be like the full control of the defense guy or the full control of the offense guy because he's bright. Not Nick Sirianni, who's this, I'm a leader of guys and I have some offensive background, but I'm going to pass over the play calling right away. And then when you lose your coordinators, you're S out of luck. Like whoever this new head coach is, this new head coach better have a clue one side or the other.
I mean, listen, I know in this town we're not the biggest Shanahan McVay fans and, what if those guys won type of thing. But ultimately when their assistants, are pumped out and go somewhere else, they find a way to sustain. They find a way to keep going. And
look at the 49ers defense this year. They lost to Miko Ryans, and it's still a good defense this year.
They got the guy the Panthers probably should have hired. So.
Oh, yeah.
So. Not saying anything there, but yeah, like seriously, I think part of that, like you're able to, rebuild staffs, and part of that is, also connections. We make a big deal, and part of the reason why Roseman, I think, is a big hand in all this is
Well,
because
as Josina Anderson tweeted out last night, Eagles Executive Vice President, General Manager Howie Roseman is continuing to take calls regarding potential coordinator candidates. Per source, Roseman has proven to have strong instincts and, of course, all those connections across the league.
yeah, the connections. I mean, that's a big piece of what this is. Like we talk about all the time about the NFL. Like you get a job in the NFL, you prove yourself to one person, and you could keep being shuffled around the league for a long time. Like Sirianni, it's not that he doesn't have cachet within the league, but young coach.
Yeah, not as much as a guy like Howie Roseman. All right, so answer the question for us, 610-632-0975. Do you believe this front office could right the ship again? It's not as bad as it was a few years ago where they go 4-11-1, but it's not heading in the right direction. Do you think they can fix it again? I say yes. Would love to hear from you. Also, coming up next, we'll have some fun with the snow day. So, I used to do the GOAT list with Anthony back in the day, right? And I know Ray and I did one during the holidays. We did the GOAT list of holiday movies and holiday treats and all that kind of stuff. We're going to do the GOAT list, good and bad, of snow days. The top 5 things about snow days, top 5 worst things about the snow in general. We'll do those coming your way next. Would love for you to give some input as well on the phones and on social media. We'll have some fun with it the rest of the show today right here, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
Lori and Sirianni to meet. I'm Ray Dunn. This update is brought to you by Wawa. Wawa is celebrating 2024 with any 20 or 24-ounce freshly brewed hot coffee for $2. Pour more of your favorite coffee at Wawa. Nick Sirianni is scheduled to meet with Jeffrey Lurie. As the Philadelphia Inquirer's Jeff McClain reporting that Eagles head coach Nick Sirianni will meet with Jeffrey Lurie today. The Athletics' Diana Rousine reported earlier this week that Sirianni and Howie Roseman have been reaching out to NFL coaches and coordinators as Sirianni prepares his plan for that meeting with Lurie. In other Eagles coaching news, offensive coordinator Brian Johnson completed his 3rd head coaching interview, this time with the Falcons. ESPN's Tim McMahon will join the show at 12:30 to talk all things Birds. The Flyers won their 5th game in a row last night, 5-1 over the Dallas Stars. Owen Tippett
and then it goes to social media. And when Owen Tippett scored that goal last night, it blew up. A lot of people were tweeting out the video. A lot of people were just talking about the goal itself. And that's when you know times are changing in Philadelphia sports. So I would love to hear your excitement about the Flyers, the new regime that was supposed to be rebuilt. And right now they're a playoff team. What do they do? We'll find out. But it has been a lot of fun, and it has been a really, really, really good breath of fresh air. Them and the Sixers from what the Eagles have been doing to us for the last 2 months. 610-632-0975. Now, Ray, I also want to do this before we get to the phones. I want to do the GOAT list, both good and bad, of snow days. Now, what is before we do the list, what is an ideal snow day for Ray Dunn? Now, I know it's a little different. We're here at work.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Let's say no responsibilities. Like, I'm going to give you the no kid, pre-Cooper life. What is the...
Okay. I want you to know I live every day right now the no kid life.
Yes. Well, but you're here at work. I'm saying, like, you're working another kind of job where they say, hey, don't come in today. Office is closed. If you could do some work from home, you can. That's great. If not, no biggie. It's a Friday. That's the other thing. It's also a Friday. Like, today's a great day for a snow day.
Oh, yeah.
You're off.
My roommate works in education. He's living. This week he's been living.
Yeah, this is the best weekend. Like, that is the best. The snow day on a Friday is the best thing. Yeah, they're right. There was the snow earlier this week, but the snow day on a Friday, because now it's a 3-day weekend.
Yeah.
And it's a gift from God. Like, God gave us the 3-day weekend, man.
Yeah, he had a 4-day weekend because Snow Tuesday he got off, and now he's got a 3-day weekend. He was in cheery spirits last night.
I'm sure.
Yeah. For me, probably wake up, little cup of coffee, slow moving day.
Yes.
Then I'll go for a walk. And this is not anything unusual for me if I've got nothing going on for a day, but I'm one to walk the snowstorm. I'll walk, go see the sights, be outside, be around it.
I wouldn't do the walk, but again, I'm doing pre-Cooper.
Mm-hmm.
I was in Manayunk. I'm not walking around Manayunk.
Yeah, that's fair.
You know what I mean? Like those hills,
You're climbing. No, I'm making my way into Old City. Most certainly.
Yeah.
Go down by the waterfront, take this whole snow walk.
That's good.
I haven't been able to do it in this apartment because last year there was just no snow.
There's no snow. Yeah.
And now I show up here mostly when it snows.
I've told you that my first apartment in Manayunk, there was a bar right on the corner. So like that was fine.
Oh, yeah. Well, I think we all assume in that walk I'm going to find
you're finding a
establishment open.
All right. So that's, are we even at noon yet?
Yeah, because it's a slow start.
Oh, okay.
In a world where I'm not here, I'm probably waking up at showtime.
Right, and you also, let's work under the impression that you knew you had the snow day.
Yes.
Like you didn't wake up at 6 o'clock to get ready for work.
I'll just go back to bed.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll roll. I'm getting out of bed at 10 o'clock. I'm making some coffee. I'm leisurely, hanging around the apartment. About noon, I'm like, well, let's make something of this day. I'll walk outside. I'll go find nice little establishment to have a drink. Maybe a hot toddy, if we're going. I know you're out on that. I don't know why. It seems, but the fact that you're out on it makes me more in on it. Okay. Makes me like, yeah, I'm on the right side of history.
Okay.
End up probably going home, and then it's soup. It's a soup night.
Soup night?
It's easily a soup night.
Oh, hold on a second. How do you eat soup after drinking?
Oh, because, listen, I got the stomach of iron.
Don't you need something like hearty?
Well, I'm going to have something. I imagine if I'm sitting at a bar, I'm not just going to be throwing back up. Like I mentioned, coffee.
You're having like fries and like what?
Yeah, I'm having something along with it. Yeah, there'll be something in the stomach. It won't just be hot toddies and soup.
Now you missed a big one in there. Now I don't know what your gaming life is like.
Oh yeah,
but dude, like firing up Xbox and like just 3 hours goes by, and you're like, wow, I just went through 3 hours of video games, but like I still have nothing else to do.
Well, that's the thing. If I open up with the video games in the earlier in the day, nothing else gets done. I probably won't let myself open up with that because I'll open up NCAA 13, and next thing you know, it's year 3 of me coaching Temple, and we've won the Big East and multiple national championships.
That's a good point. By the way, this June is when the NCAA game will be coming back out, which is very exciting.
Which means I'm saving up to go get myself the latest and greatest in gaming systems.
Or just text Todd to fail. Gaming systems.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. No, we don't have that.
I was going to say, whoa, we're giving that away.
No, we don't have that. Yeah, so for me, it's, take your time in the morning. Depending on your situation, I would get the shoveling out of the way. I know you don't want to have responsibilities, but when it freezes at night, like that sucks.
Oh, yeah. Listen, I think my landlord takes care
Oh,
of
yeah. See, I
that.
had to do that. So to get the shovel out of the way early. And it's like you feel like you did something.
Right.
Right now, I worked up a sweat. Now I have time in the morning. So I'm going to make a big breakfast that I probably normally wouldn't eat. Go with the breakfast. And now it's zonk out on the couch for a little bit because I ate too much. And then I'm probably drinking around noon, 1 o'clock, something like that.
Yeah.
And then I'll see how long that goes. Obviously, you have to be under the impression that you're working the next day. So maybe go till like 5 or 6, and then you cool off with the more Xbox again after
A little
that.
afternoon nap, maybe.
Could. You have the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
So can we add to the list here? Can we just get started? Because it sounds like you and I both have something.
So let's start with the good. The GOAT list, good. Now the beauty of the GOAT list is it's up for debate, and we take all biases out of it. Right? Like this is what we believe everybody can agree with. I'll give you number 1, and I think it can't get beat. Under the impression that you're home. There are no rules about when you can start drinking or going to a bar. Like, you aren't frowned upon for starting to drink at 10 o'clock in the morning on a snow day. I expect people already cracking something open that are home.
Yeah, I was going to go snow beers as
snow
my
beer,
number.
and there's no rules.
No rules at all.
There's no rules.
No.
You can start whenever.
Correct.
Within reason. Like, I wouldn't say 6 in the morning pouring whiskey in your coffee, but hey.
Yeah, I was going to say a little liqueur in the coffee.
Maybe. Okay.
Listen, what are you going to do? If you're just staying home, who's it going to hurt?
All right, so you're going. I think this is all under the same tree. The no drinking rules, being at the bar on a snow day, and snow beers.
Right.
Staying at home is one of has to be on there.
Correct.
Not having to go to work on a snow day.
Yes, the feeling of freedom.
So I put extra time because for me it took me almost an hour to get here today because the roads weren't all that great. It's going to take me probably an hour to get home. Imagine having 2 hours of your life back. So extra time.
Extra time, yeah.
The ability to just wear sweats all day.
True. For most people, yes.
Right.
For
We
most people,
kind of do
yes.
that as it is, but you have to take out your brain that you're not just working in radio here.
Correct.
The last one I have is the visuals. Like, it is beautiful.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
So I actually have that on both sides.
Okay.
So the visuals, it looks really cool, but not to get to the bad so quickly, but to get to the bad so quickly
We'll get
here.
to the bad. Go ahead.
It looks really cool. Too many amateur photographers on my timeline. Some of you aren't good at taking pictures. I know it's snowing. You know it's snowing. No need to clutter up my timeline with your bad photos of the snow.
All right, so I'll put bad photos down. Now, is there anything from the good that you would add or take off?
I would also add nobody on the road.
Correct, which I was going to put down no traffic, but I put drivers on the bad. Once one snowflake falls down, people are morons.
Right. The bad roads, bad drivers would agree with that. But nobody being on the road for someone that likes to walk means that I can walk in the road.
That's a good point.
Which is an all-time feeling.
It is.
You feel more important. I don't really know how to quantify this or say this without just sounding like a moron.
No, you're right.
You feel more important walking in the center of the road. You also feel like you're in a movie.
When we go to break in about 10 minutes, I'll tweet it out. I have a photo that I took of the walk from the hotel that we book. Actually, no, when I was staying at the hotel, we booked the further hotel. Back in my day, I had to walk uphill.
Yeah, both ways. You guys were also didn't bring shoes. You guys had to walk barefoot here, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I took a photo of me walking on City Ave. And it was just
That's pretty cool.
Look at me. And this is before it was plowed. It was early. So, all right, I have the 5 bad. We'll get to the bad in a second. Let's go to the phones. So I don't want to make people waiting. We're talking to Eagles. You believe this front office can fix things again, steer the ship into the right direction. And then I also want to know the good and the bad. We're doing the GOAT list of the snow day. There's more good than bad, but there is bad. Let's be honest. Like drivers who just don't know what they're doing. Let's go to the phone. Let's go to D in Uptown. What up, D?
Hey, what's going on, y'all?
What's up, man?
So, I do think this front office can turn around even with Sirianni, but the big thing is the coordinators. I'm gonna tell you my wish list. I want Denard Wilson or Wink Martindale for DC, and I want the 49ers passing game coordinator.
Okay. I like that idea because it's innovative, right? Which is something that the Eagles did not have offensively. Now, defensively, I don't think Denard Wilson would come here because Nick Sirianni fired him. And so if Sirianni remains as head coach, I don't know if I'm coming back. You know what I'm saying?
But I'll take Martindale in a heartbeat.
Yeah, look, I mean, he's obviously a flashy name out there, and he blitzes a lot, which is something that we would absolutely love. I don't know if he's as good with this kind of a personnel, so we'd see about that. But, he's obviously a name that intrigues me. I heard Bob this morning. Bob's anti-Wink Martindale.
Okay. All right. What do you guys think about Clint Kubiak for the 49ers?
No, that's what that was the first thing I responded to. Like, I'm in because it's innovative. Like, their offense is innovative. I know we make jokes about, wow, nobody's open. Let me just check it down to Christian McCaffrey. Didn't get me 60 yards. But they do a lot of stuff, man. I love the amount of motion that they run. It's one of my biggest pet peeves with Nick Sirianni. Sirianni saying, we don't motion just to motion. Well, you know what? When you do motion, you give your quarterback information. You allow them to figure out if they're playing man, if they're playing zone, if a guy that would normally be following a running back, is he going to be coming with pressure? Like, you give the quarterback information by motioning, and also keeps the defenses on the toes. And San Francisco, alongside Miami, was one of the top 2 teams with pre-snap motion. So I'm in.
That's been my wish list since Matt Patricia took over. Those are my 2.
All right. Yeah, I like it, D, man. I appreciate it. Thanks for the call. Let's go to Jake in Pottstown. Jake, you're on the Fanatic.
Hey, Andrew, can you hear me well?
Got you loud and clear, Jake.
Awesome. Yeah.
How are the roads? I can hear you're driving.
Yeah, they're not too terrible from where I'm driving right now, but
Okay.
I love driving in the snow, so it doesn't bother me any. Yeah, so I don't know. Tyrone kind of got into my head yesterday with the whole Brian Johnson going and getting 4 interviews for head coaching jobs, and it seems like it's not just a part of the Rooney Rule.
Right.
It kind of makes me wonder, like, should we just get rid of Nick and find a head coach, but keep him as offensive coordinator? Because I know Jalen loves the guy.
Well, I mean, if he's going to get a head coaching job, they're not going to not allow that. You know what I mean?
I gotcha.
Like,
Yeah.
if he's getting head coaching interviews, you're not going to fire Nick and say, hey, Brian, please stay as OC. Now, he could make the decision to stay, like Brian Dable stayed in Buffalo a couple of years ago. But if he gets a head coaching gig, I don't know if he's going to stick around.
Right. Just makes me worry, about him going to, like, the Falcons and then them and
Yeah, but, like, were you worried about Jonathan Gannon when he was leaving?
Yeah, that's true.
And everybody, and look, Jonathan Gannon was being called a head coach of the future before he even coached a single snap as DC with the Eagles. Nobody missed him. I didn't miss him. I still don't necessarily miss him, even though the defense did not play well this year. I also think the talent was far worse this season than last year. So, look, if Brian Johnson gets a coaching job somewhere, I'm not going to lose any sleep over it. If he becomes Bill Belichick, well, damn, that sucks. But he wasn't going to be the head coach here anyway. Sirianni.
Last thing I got to say is Howie better draft a cornerback in the first or second round this year.
Yeah, and a good cornerback, right? Not a guy that's like, had an ACL injury and that's why he fell to the second round. Thanks for the call, Jake. I appreciate it. Like, their evaluation of corners hasn't been all that great.
Sidney Jones catching strays today.
Yeah, of course. They have drafted corners in like the second and third rounds in the last couple of years, or like even over the last decade, right? Like Rasul Douglas, right? He was a third round pick. Like, they have used capital on him. I wanted them to go with a cornerback this past year. I was all about Christian Gonzalez, who had a tremendous season before he got hurt. Obviously the Bijan Robinson conversation was fun, but like, we knew they weren't going to do it.
For some of us,
we knew they weren't going to do it. They weren't going to draft a running back in the first round. Look at what's going on with the Falcons. Like, come on. The Falcons drafted Kyle Pitts and Bijan Robinson 2 out of 3 years.
and Arthur Smith had no interest in using either.
Yeah, and not a real quarterback. Like, Matt Ryan was on his way out, and they such a poorly run organization.
Your boy's about to choose to go to an organization with Desmond Ritter as the quarterback.
Well, until he
man, you can't judge him because of Mac Jones, and he's about to choose an organization with Desmond Ritter. Yeah. Woo.
Maybe gets a quarterback in free agency. I don't know, who's even a free agent quarterback?
They're gonna try and run it back with Russ. He'll be the latest to take the Russ project.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, jeez.
Or no, they'll get Dak. Dak won't go back to the Cowboys. They'll be Dak.
That's
and Bill
another thing
Belichick.
to pay attention to this year. I guess he's back. If they're keeping
running back with
McCarthy, right? Like they're not going to keep McCarthy and get rid of Dak.
Would be all time though.
It would be, but that's not.
McCarthy's going to unlock Trey Lance.
All right, so we have the GOAT list. The good for snow days. Under the umbrella of drinking, the no drinking rules in terms of when you start. I'm not, obviously, don't drink and drive.
Yeah, laws still apply.
The snow day at the bar is just, top tier. And, snow beers, as you said, right? I mean, like, I remember, when I was cool, I had, my fridge was, the way my Manioc house worked, I was a row home, but it was like on a hill. So the first floor was the kitchen and the laundry room. The second floor was like the living area and my backyard. So the backyard was actually on the second floor of my house. And then the third floor were the 2 bedrooms. So what I did was I didn't have like a nice cooler or anything. So I just brought the beers up from the, I didn't want to, I was so lazy on the snow day. Didn't want to walk down the steps. Right? I had everything I needed on the second floor until I got hungry. I just opened the back door, put the beers into the snow. Look,
it's the best feeling in the world.
It's God's cooler.
It is.
It was great. So the drinking, just period. Staying at home, extra time because you're not really working as much or working at all. You're not commuting, so you have extra time in your hands to do whatever the hell you want. Sweats all day for those of you who actually have to dress up for work, and then the visuals. So that's the 5 good. If you have another good that you would add that you could knock off one of these other ones, let us know on social media or on the phones at 610-632-0975. Coming up next, I'll give the bad. Because I'm not the biggest snow guy. I'm not. There's benefits of a snow day. But we don't really get snow days. So, there are bad things about the snow. So I'll give you the 5 bad. Also, we'll go through that list of expiring contracts for the Philadelphia Eagles. Who do we want to come back? Because we have now reached full off-season conversation. And I love to have fun talking Flyers. A nice win last night, beating the Stars. The typical was fantastic. Ray's been saying in his updates, it's in the Sports Center top 10 plays today. I mean, the fact that they are getting love on social media, that people are reacting to a goal in real time. I love seeing Let's Go Flyers spray painted on an off-ramp. It means the streets are talking. Everybody's in on the Flyers. So I'd love to hear some fun Flyers talk as well, all right here on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
Meeting of the Minds. I'm Ray Dunn. This update is brought to you by Lowe's. Shop the close event now at Lowe's with big savings on the appliances you need now. Lowe's knows home improvement. Shop the close event now at Lowe's. Nick Sirianni scheduled to meet with Jeffrey Lurie. As the Philadelphia Inquirer's Jeff McClain reported yesterday that the Eagles head coach will meet with owner Jeffrey Lurie today. The Athletics' Diana Russini reported earlier this week that Sirianni and Howie Roseman have been reaching out to NFL coaches and coordinators as Sirianni prepares his plan for Jeffrey Lurie in that meeting today. And other Eagles coaching news, offensive coordinator Brian Johnson completed another head coaching interview, this time with the Falcons. ESPN's Tim McManus joins the show coming up at 12:30 to talk all things Birds. The Flyers won their 5th game in a row last night, beating the Dallas Stars 5-1. Owen Tippett had 2 goals, including this highlight reel play.
Dallas gets it back to the line, and a shot missing the net from the far point was Handley. Philadelphia the other way. Tippett with speed, cuts into the middle. Dipsy do back in. He scores! Oh, what a goal by Owen Tippett! It's highlight reel time as Tippett's got his second of the game, and the Flyers go up 5-1.
Flyers return to action on Saturday at 1 o'clock against the Avalanche. 76ers back in action tonight in Orlando against the Magic, and they tip off at 7 o'clock right here on 97.5 The Fanatic. Keep it locked here for the latest news and information. I'm Ray Dunn, the home for the Sixers and Flyers, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Eagles fans,
I was sick to my stomach these last 8 weeks.
The defense look like buffoons out here.
we are listening to you.
Being put out of our misery was actually the best thing that could have happened.
I just feel bad for some of the veterans that aren't going to come back.
Whatever divisive atmosphere they have in that locker room, it needs to stop.
We share your pain.
Last night's Eagles game was gross. I wanted badly to give my eyes a shower.
97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Hey guys, it's Pat Egan with a question for you. Is your New Year's resolution to finally satisfy your partner? Has the bedroom life been pretty dull lately? Well, I think my friends at BlueChew.com can help with that. That's because Blue Chew is the first chewable that has you going from apologizing for your performance to getting rave reviews and high fives. It's got the same active ingredients as Viagra and Cialis, and now they have a mint-flavored chewable that has the same active ingredients as Levitra and Staxin. The best part is there's no awkward doctor's appointments. There's no waiting in a pharmacy. You just head to BlueChew.com. You meet with a licensed medical professional, and then you get the chewables delivered to your door in a discreet package. In fact, Blue Chew is so confident in their product, they want to give you your first month free. Just pay for shipping. Head to BlueChew.com and sign up. And when you do, make sure to use the promo code FANATIC. Blue Chew will send you a month's supply completely free. Just pay the $5 for shipping. So what are you waiting for? That's BlueChew.com. And don't forget to use the promo code FANATIC.
This winter, cozy up to a home that's perfectly yours with Preferred Pros. From skilled craftsmen and expert designers to top veterinarians and relaxing pools and spas, we've got the best recommendations for you. Let us help you make your dream project a reality. Your home, your life, our professionals. Connect with Preferred Pros you can trust.
Leaky pipes, cold showers? Hutchinson Cooling, Heating, and Plumbing offers affordable 24-hour emergency plumbing solutions, same-day water heater installs, and lowest cost drain clearing.
Make 2024 all of you at Joseph Anthony Retreat Spa and Salon, the ultimate destination for all things beauty, wellness, and of course, relaxation. Details at josephanthony.com.
An organized home is a happy home. Enjoy unmatched quality and a lifetime warranty on closets, pantries, offices, and more from the Closet Works Inc. ClosetWorksINC.com.
Check out Preferred Pros today. This paid program is sponsored by businesses highly rated by actual customers. For more details on Preferred Pros, visit 975thefanatic.com.
Heroes of the Storm was a League of Legends inspired game created by Blizzard in 2015. Blizzard tried to create an esport out of the title but gave up in 2018. Once the game lost support, fans took action and with their own hands created a remake, Resurgence of the Storm, a modified version of the game that was released within StarCraft 2. As Resurgence launches this week, will you go back to give the fans a second chance?
The latest esports and gaming news. Find it online at checkpointxp.com.
Do you owe the IRS $10,000 or more in back taxes? Are you being audited or investigated? Has the IRS sent you a letter demanding payment? You may not owe what they claim. Make this free call to the tax doctor now. Let them negotiate with the IRS on your behalf. Call 800-631-9123. 800-631-9123. That's 800-631-9123.
I feel occasional burning and stabbing in my hands as I age.
I sometimes feel numbness and tingling in my feet as I get older.
It's starting to get in the way of doing what I love.
At Nervive, we hear you, and we can help. Nervive's clinically studied dose of alpha-lipoic acid reduces occasional nerve discomfort in as little as 7 days with continued daily use.
Now that I know, I'm taking control.
Try Nervive Nerve Relief and say yes to healthy nerves. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Hold on, someone just slipped and fell on my neighbor's icy sidewalk. Hey, need some help?
Yeah.
Okay, you need to demand Rand.
What?
You know, Rand and Mike Spear, the accident lawyers, they've won over $750 million for their clients.
Great. You think you could give me a hand?
What, go out in this cold? No, thank you.
If you need legal help, don't get left out in the cold. Call 1-800-90-LEGAL and demand Rand. Or start your claim online now at randspear.com. 1-800-90-LEGAL.
You expect your home to protect everything you love, but you don't expect the ways water is breaking down your basement and damaging your home. Mold, cracks, and of course visible water are just a few signs your basement is compromised. But there's one way to get answers to all your concerns. A free home inspection from BQ Basements and Concrete. We put water back in its place. Go to basementsbybq.com. License number PA158514, 13VH11822900.
When my daughter gets a cold, I have a secret weapon. DayQuil Kids Berry from Vicks. DayQuil Kids is specially formulated to treat kids' most bothersome cold and cough symptoms quickly. And the best part is that DayQuil Kids Berry tastes really great. Aren't you supposed to be resting? Maybe.
Dayquil Kids Berry. The Kids Berrylicious daytime congestion, coughing, stuffy head, stuffy nose, just for kids medicine. Safe for kids 6 years plus.
New year, new car. So get to Barlow Buick GMC in Woodbury, where all 2023 leftovers must go. They're offering specials on popular models like the Terrain, Sierra, and Enclave. Plus 1.9% financing on select models to well-qualified buyers. At Barlow, they treat their customers like family and want the buying experience to be convenient and hassle-free. So start 2024 off right and visit them in Woodbury or online at barlowautogroup.com. Experience the new Buick GMC. We are professional grade.
Andrew Salchunas, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
$11:20, 97.5 The Fanatic. I'm Andrew Salchunas. Our 11 o'clock hour brought to us by Golden Nugget Jewelers, where Philly gets engaged. All right, we'll get to this, the bad of the GOAT list momentarily when it comes to a snow day. But a couple of things that I want to do. I want to go through the list of players that have expiring contracts for the Philadelphia Eagles, and we're gonna, figure out who we think who should be brought back and who should not be brought back. But something fascinating that I just read during the break from our my man Kevin Kincaid at Crossing Broad. So Nick Sirianni, obviously, was always going to try to talk up his team, right? Always have their back during press conferences. It's unfortunate. So many press conferences basically felt like a waste of time, ultimately, because competitive advantage, right? We wouldn't get actual information. I haven't talked to the guys yet. You can talk to them, health statuses. Like, it was nonsense, right? But remember the amount of times he brought up the tackling miss rate percentage and how they were one of the best in the league. All right? You remember all this, Ray?
Oh, yeah.
It was a lot of fun watching guys miss tackle after miss tackle after miss tackle. And
then be told you're good.
Then, yeah, that was so much fun. Like, that, honestly, like, can I be honest? That pisses me off. Because you're lying to us. And the big bad media. How dare Jeff McClain ask that kind of question? They're doing it for us, right? And so Nick Sirianni is speaking to members of the media, but when a reporter asks about missed tackles, aren't we all complaining about missed tackles? Don't we all bitch about missed tackles? And yet the big bad media, because they ask it, how dare they? Like, they are speaking on our behalf. And because not everything is sunshine and rainbows, ain't about, did you get hit? I'm not about to do the speech. Life ain't all about sunshine and rainbows. It's not always great, right? So they have to ask the hard questions. And we all agree that they suck at tackling. And yet when they ask the question, how dare they? Anyway, I'll get off my soapbox. Jesus. Like, sometimes, look, because we're in that weird middle ground, right? Like, I talk to the fans on a daily basis at 610-632-0975. But I also talk to members of the media to get more information. And I feel like I got, like, hey, man, it's all right. No, he's cool. He's cool. You know, when you bring a friend to the party and that friend's being an ass and you're trying to be like, no, he's cool. Like, I feel like that's our role. It's trying to bridge the gap between fans and media, but they're never going to see eye to eye. I digress. So Kevin Kincaid went on a website called Sport Radar, and it's one of these deep analytic, it's not like ESPN.com. You can find out missed tackle rate, right? So Sport Radar discovered that the Eagles missed 96 tackles this season, which seems like it's 960, but they missed 96 tackles this year, which was the 20th most in the NFL. Now, right away, I got to hear Nick Sirianni tell me, oh, well, actually, our tackle rate, like, stop lying. You're lying to everybody at that point. Their missed tackle percentage, which he liked to bring up a lot, was 8.6, which was actually 17th. So not top in the league, like he liked to point out in press conferences. It was actually bottom half. And the Eagles allowed 64 plays of 20-plus yards, which was 13th. So Kevin then did the filter. He did weeks 1 through 12 when, all was good, 10-1. And then he did weeks 13 through 18. So weeks 1 through 12, more games, 52 missed tackles, which was 6th best in the NFL.
Hell yeah.
And a missed tackle percentage of 7.5, which was 13th. Still not as high as Nick would point out in his press conference. He would say, if I'm not mistaken, we are one of the best, right?
Third best. Third best.
He said third? Okay.
Third best was
so
the one he kept
add a
going to.
1 in front of it.
Yeah.
And then he'd be speaking correctly. 13th percent. 13th best.
They just read it wrong.
Now, weeks 13 through 18, not as many games. 44 missed tackles, so just 8 less when they played more games in weeks 1 through 12. That was 8th worst in the NFL. And a missed tackle percentage of 10.2, which was 10th worst in the NFL. Now, look, I don't know what that means. I don't think Matt Patricia was saying, hey, no, tackle this way. Right? Like, I think it's just.
He called the missed tackle play.
Yeah, no, the schemes just suck. But what I'm trying to get at is, like, when I read that, I'm bothered by Nick Sirianni. Like, a lot of things about Nick Sirianni are bothering me, which is why I say it's a mistake to bring him back as head coach. But I had to hear Nick Sirianni for weeks try to tell us that their missed tackle percentage is actually really good and all this kind of crap. And yet, even when things were going well, it was not correct. God.
Be like just picking one day in the ratings. Be like, that's it. That's our rating.
That's how good this show is.
Yep,
yeah,
that's what we are. You don't look at any of that. That's the day.
Yeah. All right. The expiring contracts. The Eagles have 19 players with expiring contracts. Again, I want to thank Eagles Nation for putting this together. Last year, they had 25. And remember, 5 starters on defense.
Good. They'll bring back 6 more players this year.
Yeah. So here are your 19 expiring contracts. We'll say yay or nay. We'll go with the offense first. Marcus Mariota.
I would say no.
Yeah, I'm out. I don't know if honestly it doesn't matter. Like, just roll with Tanner McKee. Like, who cares? I know you want a good backup quarterback. This is the city that won a Super Bowl with a backup quarterback.
They'll bring in a better backup quarterback than Tanner McKee.
Unless they think highly. I mean, we don't know. It's a quarterback factory.
It is. So they're going to churn Mariota out. He'll go be a starter for some bad team.
Yeah, but does McKee go up to the second spot in the depth chart, and they bring in another guy?
Bring in someone else.
They do always seem to draft a quarterback like late in the round, as you should.
Bring someone else in.
All right,
please.
Well, who do you want?
I don't know. I didn't. I'm sorry.
Chad Mullins or whatever his name is.
The backup quarterback, Nick Mullins. Thank you very much.
I was thinking of Chris Mullins, the NBA player.
Yes. I haven't scanned the backup quarterback market. I'm sorry. It's been 4 days since my team epically collapsed.
Now, the running back room might take a major hit here, Ray. 3 running backs, none of which are Kenneth Gainwell. So he's back. For a fact.
Better believe he's back.
For a fact, he's back.
Bell cow.
DeAndre Swift, Rashad Penny, and Boston Scott. Rashad Penny's not coming back.
Congrats on rehabbing this year.
Yeah, there's no way he's coming back if you don't dress him at all. And if I'm not coming back. Like, I'm going to try to play somewhere.
Yeah, whether he liked his time in the city.
Right, whether he's good or not. Like, he's going to want to try to play somewhere. I'm cool without Boston Scott ever again.
Come on.
He didn't even do anything against the Giants.
No,
the legend's dead. You can't even do the Giants, Boston Scott.
We could do this whole thing. It's like Greg Ward on the practice squad. You could put out your 53-man roster.
Isn't he?
Oh, yeah.
He's still around.
You could put out your 53-man roster at some point, some way. Boston Scott will find
69-man roster.
Listen, I'm sorry. I was in the best of the out of context segment. I am not referring to it as that many players. Okay, I know Dylan's out there. Yeah. Listen,
69-man roster. What's wrong with that?
Listen,
you know what? They're not football guys. Like,
that's what it is.
That's what it comes down to.
That's what it is. They just don't understand the 69-man roster.
Now, the big one is DeAndre Swift. It's not what the Eagles do. I like him a lot. I don't know what they think about him, right? He had some very flashy games. He had some games where he wasn't flashy. He had some games where he wasn't used. So I don't know what the Eagles' mindset is with DeAndre Swift. DeAndre Swift also had technically a decent season statistically. But the running back market, it's not like he had this big year on his contract year. He's going to get paid a ton of money, right? It's not what running backs are getting anymore. I mean, look, Miles Sanders, every running back in the world, you know how they had that coup before the season started, right? Us running backs, we're going to get paid. Yeah, Miles Sanders completely screwed all of them over. He got paid handsomely. What did he do? Got benched. Chuba Hubbard took over.
Well, really, Saquon was the one that was in that meeting, and a day later accepted the 1-year, $10 million contract.
Right, yeah. He was a turncoat. He was a turncoat, and Miles Sanders screwed them all over. But, like, I don't know. I would like Swift back. That's not what the Eagles do. I would be more surprised if he came back than if he didn't come back.
He was one of the guys we were talking about. Who do you feel for after this one? I felt for him.
Yeah, me too.
You're at a hometown team. The way you were utilized, like in that game especially, I felt for him after that one. That, the dream setup of coming home and playing is probably over for him.
So far we have no to Mariota. I'm going no Swift just because that's what the Eagles do. I want him back, but it's what the Eagles do. Penny's gone. Is Boston Scott back? All jokes aside, is Boston Scott back?
Not initially, but I'll see him back at camp.
Probably, because you're not going to sign 3 marquee running backs. What they got to do is draft one at some point, 3rd or 4th round, to go with Kenneth Gainwell. And then they'd need a lead back still. Kenneth Gainwell's not that guy, man. Even though they wanted him to be week 1.
They'll cobble together a rotation. Let's not lose our minds here.
Unless there's a vet that you can go out there for 1 year. Like what Leonard Fournette was doing with the Buccaneers.
Yeah, and now he's on the bill. He's still alive, playoff Lenny.
No, didn't he just get cut?
Oh, did he? Oh, that's a shame.
He just got cut. I think playoff Lenny's days are done.
Well, that's ridiculous. They had the sleigh, sleigh ride.
He was released, man.
What they're calling the tush push up there. It was the sleigh, whatever. He was the anchoring piece of that.
Yeah, he got released. But
well, in that case, it's time to bring him in.
Oh, yeah. But I'm not. And by the way, I'm not saying get Leonard Fournette. I'm saying a guy like that who you keep on picking up for 1-year deals, because he did that with Tampa for like 3 straight years.
I know we're gonna do this at some point because we're gonna get in the offseason talk and we're gonna have to address the running back room at some point. Can we? They're gonna cobble together a rotation.
Yeah, they're not gonna go get Derrick Henry.
Well, Mike Vrabel might bring him with him.
That's true. If he's the head coach.
Right.
All right. So your wide receivers, man, the day has finally come. Quez Watkins. Now, I don't. If Nick Sirianni specifically is head coach, he's not back. I don't think he likes him. He did the whole let me talk this guy up in the offseason, I think strategically or something. Quez, by the way, did the Instagram post after scoring a meaningless touchdown in a game where the starters were out. Like,
finger on the pulse.
Yeah, he may think more highly of himself than the Eagles do. Watch, Quez Watkins is going to sign somewhere. He'll score a touchdown week 1. Lock it in now. Anytime touchdown, Quez Watkins, week 1, whoever he plays for. I don't care if it's the Falcons with Desmond Ridder. He's scoring a touchdown week 1, and people are going to freak out. I just remember, like, Quez Watkins not fighting for balls, not cutting up field. They had that one wide receiver screen shocker in the red zone where he didn't cut up field, and he got tackled, and Sirianni was freaking out. I mean, it's little things with him. Olamide Zaccheaus.
I keep him.
Sure, but
you not everyone's going to be wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2.
Right,
Like ultimately, if you
we were joking around yesterday, you brought up Zach Pascal.
Right, yeah. I mean,
you need a wide receiver 3 now. I would like a wide receiver 3 that you're going to utilize a little bit more. Like I've always wanted like trying to think of some of these guys, like a Cole Beasley type, like these guys that on 3rd and they get to the sticks every single time. Now, I know you have A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, so it's a little bit different. But,
also, where's Beasley most effective? Middle of the field.
Middle of the field, okay.
To me, that comes back to offensive philosophy on that one.
Right.
Like, what are they trying to do on 3rd and 6, 3rd and 7?
Like Jason Avant was 3rd down, dude. I knew I could go to him.
Oh, absolutely.
And odds are it's going to be a 1st down, right? Like, I need a 3rd down receiver. Which is I wanted Berrios last year when he became available. Like, here's a guy that 3rd and 4, I can get him the football, and he's gonna get a 1st down if he hauls it in. So you think yes? You think yes?
Yeah, I keep him.
All
I
right,
mean,
so-
again, I think he's high upside wide receiver 3. At best, most likely wide receiver 4.
So we're at 2 at the most. Boston Scott, just because they love themselves some Boston Scott.
He's a 4th running back.
And Olamide Zaccheaus. I would imagine Jack Stahl's back. You got Albert O and Jack Stahl are on here. Albert O wasn't dressing every single week.
What a big deal before roster cutdowns. What a big trade that ended up being.
Stahl's probably back. He's not a problem.
Probably,
He's
yeah.
Good blocking tight end, can make some catches here and there. And then the offensive line gets interesting.
But hold on, we're talking tight end there for a second. I would love an upgrade. To be honest, Stoll, Alberto can go if you can find me some sort of an upgrade. Because I would like,
Well, here's the deal. They got their Calcaterra, so he's still going to be their hands guy. And then you're going to need that back. You need like a very good blocking tight end. And Stahl's that guy.
Sure.
All right,
I mean, he is.
Yeah, but who's your? I mean, unless you're drafting another tight end, or you're picking up just some guy that can block, a vet.
I'm not totally opposed to Stahl coming back. I'm not just
He's not going to get paid a lot. That's my thing. Like, you're going to be getting him for nothing.
Okay.
So I expect Stahl to be back.
Back-to-back seasons where Goddard's gone down and we've looked at ourselves like, wow, what's the tight end room look like?
I thought they were going to bring back Dick Rob, but they didn't.
No. Another one you can count on.
Now, lineman's interesting. Jason Kelsey is one of them. I'm expecting him to retire, so I don't think he's back. But then you have Driscoll and Opeta. Now, Driscoll, I think, is on his way out. I think they've lost faith in him. You have to draft a tackle of the future. Who knows how much time you have left with Lane Johnson? So I imagine they draft a tackle at some point. Opeta, they liked. They actually ended up playing him over Steen. Now, the problem is you drafted Steen in the 3rd round this past draft. So you're going to need a right guard. One of those, it could be Opeta who ends up starting right guard for you. Unless you're drafting a guard high in the draft or, at some point. Because if Cam Jurgens slides over to center, you have a vacancy on your starting, regardless. Even if Cam stays at right guard, you have a center you have to replace him with.
Yeah, need for Steen in there at right guard.
So Steen, you say he starts at right guard. But
keep Opeta, though.
Keep Opeta because you need depth guys. And he's a part of, he knows the system. So we have, out of the offense, there's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 guys. And we have potentially 4 staying with Opeta, Stahl, Zaccheaus, and Boston Scott. All right. Now to the defense. Sean Bradley, I think you can get back for cheap. The guy didn't play this year. He didn't play much before he even got hurt. He's a special teams guy. So they probably bring him back. Shaq Leonard, no. Nicholas Moreau, no. Might be the end for the greatest Cunningham in Eagles franchise history. Was Zach Cunningham. Maybe bring him back. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I know it's not exactly a linebacker room you want to recreate.
No. He was your best linebacker out of everybody. But then again, you're going to have Nakobe Dean that they're going to try. I know. I don't want it, but they're going to try. Justin Evans, you kind of have to. Sidney Brown's not going to be ready to start the season. Byard's not.
Byard goes.
I can't see them bringing him back.
Byard goes.
So you kind of need a safety that's been here.
I guess.
I would not be surprised if he's back. And then the last 2 names are Fletcher Cox and Brandon Graham. Brandon Graham, I think, comes back. They're going to, out of respect, they got to give him the 1-year swan song deal. He literally said he wants to do that this year.
Yeah, I understand he wants to do the year. I just, hey, BG, they took care of you with a couple contracts.
They did.
Let's, they'll probably take care of you with the job forever.
But I don't think he goes elsewhere to play 1 more year. I think it would have to be here.
I would just love for it to be a little bit of a discount.
Yeah, but dude, it would be a discount. But if they're already saying, if he's already saying he wants to do the swan song season in Philadelphia, look, the Eagles need to be in the good graces of fans right now. I don't think it'd be a great look if they decide not to re-sign Brandon Graham.
Oh, I'm not telling him to get lost. No. I'm just saying, hey, man, you're going to have a job forever.
Yeah.
This is going to be your 15th season with us. We've signed you to a couple of contract extensions. You mind not putting up the price tag too much, especially considering if we're getting out of Bradbury, there'll be some dead money out there, and
Sure
you still
will,
got to
man.
field a competitive team.
Oh, by the way, one more name. I missed one more name. Braden Mann. You got to bring him back. Maybe have a competition.
Yeah, you have to have a competition.
But Braden Mann, you might want to bring him back for camp. He actually was good. So we have Braden Mann, potentially Justin Evans, potentially Zach Cunningham. Brandon Graham. Opeta, Stahl, Zacchaeus, and Scott. And I don't even need Zacchaeus, but you're going to have to get that spot anyway. So out of the 19 players, 8 guys coming back.
And all for
on
depth.
1-2 year deals, very little money.
All for depth.
All right, well, do you think this Eagles front office can rewrite the ship again? I say yes, with or without Nick Sirianni. I don't want Sirianni back, but with or without Nick Sirianni, I do believe in this front office. They have shown me that they can do this a couple of times. So I'm not going to all of a sudden not believe that they do it this time. But there is a lot of work ahead. Do you believe that the Eagles front office can fix things again? Basically a third time. And hopefully this time actually have some sustainable success and not just a 1 or 2 year run. We'd love to hear from you on the phones at 610-632-0975. Also coming up next, because we never got to it, I have the GOAT list, the bad things about the snow day. We did the good. I'll repeat what the good was coming up next, but also the bad. And I would love your input on this. You know, we can knock some things off. There might be some that you absolutely love to do on a snow day that others don't. Love to hear from you. I'm Andrew Salchunas, the Midday Show, right here, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
Lori and Sirianni to meet. I'm Ray Dunn. This update is brought to you by Lowe's. Shop the closed event now at Lowe's with big savings on the appliances you need now. Lowe's knows home improvement. Shop the closed event now at Lowe's. Nick Sirianni is scheduled to meet with Jeffrey Lurie. The Philadelphia Inquirer's Jeff McClade reported yesterday that the Eagles head coach will meet with owner Jeffrey Lurie today. The Athletics' Diana Rossini earlier this week reported that Sirianni and Howie Roseman have been reaching out to NFL coaches and coordinators as Sirianni prepared his plan for this meeting with Lurie. In other Eagles coaching news, offensive coordinator Brian Johnson
thefanatic.com.
11:50, 97.5 The Fanatic. It's a Fanatic Friday. No longer Football Friday. Fanatic Friday presented by Pumpman Philly for 24/7 emergency repair or pump replacement. Count on Pumpman Philly, the guys who know to fix your flow. It is still Football Friday across the rest of the NFL. Divisional round of the playoffs taking place this weekend. So later on the show, 1:30, we'll do our pick segment like we always do. Now, Ray, once the teams start dwindling down, as they already are, we might have to add to the pick segment a little bit. Might have to go with like a prop. You know, I was messing around this morning, like, all right, if I liked the Texans at plus 9.5, like, what prop could I also throw out there? You know, could it be something regarding the Texans? Could it be an anytime tutty for somebody? Could it be the over for rushing yards for somebody? So maybe we add that as well during the pick segment today.
We'll become propsmen.
Oh, absolutely. You know, look, you got to adjust, adapt with the times, which is, you know, what Nick Sirianni and the Eagles didn't do during the final couple months of the season. Whole 2 months, which is why I say it's a mistake to bring him back. But the question today is not about Nick Sirianni. The question today, for you on the phones at 610-632-0975, is whether or not you believe this front office can fix things again. So later on in the show, we'll kind of run through what they did last time, because they were 1.4-11-1. And we'll see if that recipe still works. Because the recipe isn't just like drafting well. The recipe for the Eagles was a lot of big free agents. So I kind of want to look back. We'll do this later on in the show. What happened from final year Doug Peterson to year one of Nick Sirianni, in which they did make the playoffs. You know, obviously I always talk about how they backed their way into the playoffs because they benefited from COVID teams and teams with injured quarterbacks, but whatever, they made the playoffs. So we'll go through what they did during those off seasons. Does that recipe still work right now? Now, by the looks of it, I looked outside the window. Nobody's on the roads right now. So I hope everybody's enjoying their snow day. We are actually enjoying ourselves a little bit. I want to thank Joe Bell, great marketing manager here, part of the Beasley Media family. He brought Dunkin' Donuts in this morning, and we just had pizza delivered. A lot of it for not that many people. So bring some home with you, Ray.
Oh, trust me. I'm going to bring some home. I think within the next hour, I'll make another trip to the kitchen.
I think there was, I saw maybe 5 or 6 pies.
Yeah.
And
good stuff.
I don't know if there's more than 6 people here.
There is literally, I counted. I walked at the last break. 2 people on the business side of these things. One of those 2 people, Dylan McKinnon.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so we have, but the best show ever will be here.
Yes.
You know, save some slices for the best show ever.
Well, absolutely.
Tyrone usually gets here, what, around 12:30?
Yeah. No, 12.
12?
Always
Okay.
12. He'll be here the next, 10 minutes.
All right, so, and there is plane, so he can actually eat the pizza.
Yeah.
Another
I'm not
thing.
I'm not going to take away from hard work. I'm just saying, business people, I hope you're tuned in. I hope you listen.
Yeah,
I hope
we're
you're
here.
enjoying your day. We're here. I did take note.
Yeah, I love the email that Joe Bell sent out, I think it was last night, about the upcoming storm. Like, you know, if you can work home, you stay home. They took that opportunity and ran with it, didn't they?
They did. Yeah, I didn't see any of them.
We're here.
I was looking around. I was looking to say hi. I was looking to socialize.
Yeah,
Nope.
We're essential employees, though, so we're here.
There we are.
We made it in.
Quite essential.
So the GOAT list, both good and bad, of the snow day. The good, I'll run it through one more time. The rules go away when it comes to drinking, other than, actual rules where you can be, arrested, drinking and driving. Don't do that. But, I'm disappointed in you listening right now at home if you have not cracked open a beer yet.
Yeah, I mean, I'll go right there with
look,
you.
it's almost 12 o'clock.
Yeah.
Come on. Live a little.
Yeah. You don't have that big. It's a Friday.
Yeah,
you don't have.
It's other things. It's a 3-day weekend. Oh, sorry. The power lines, because of the snow, got messed up. Oh.
You just don't usually work from home. Your Wi-Fi's not built for it.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly. That kind of stuff.
The wife's got something more important right now going on Wi-Fi.
So, the snow day beers, the snow day bar trek, all that stuff, that's one of the 5. Staying at home is 2 of the 5. Having extra time because of that. A, you might just not be working all together. B, your commute, all of a sudden of an hour is, you have that back in your life. For those of you who don't get to wear sweats all the time, like we do, sweats, and the visuals, because it is beautiful. Now, the bad. We talked about drivers earlier, because once one snowflake falls, they can't handle themselves. You mentioned the bad photographers. I understand that.
Timeline clutterers.
Yes. Now, I have a couple others. And I'm learning this today. We're waiting for a phone call. Childcare. Now, again, you don't have that responsibility yet, but this list is also for everybody. Childcare. You know, when you're a kid, you don't realize when you're begging for a snow day that it changes a lot of things for your parents who work, right? Christy and I both work. We're basically awaiting the phone call from daycare like, hey, we got to close up in the next hour. Got to come get your kid. Now it's already decided that Christy would be the one that would go get him because I can't just kind of up and leave doing this.
I appreciate that.
I believe that you would be able to take over and do just fine.
I appreciate you believing that.
But I remember when I was telling that to John Kincaid this morning because he was like, what are you going to do if you have to leave? I was like, yeah, kind of agreed upon that. Like I would be the one that stays at work. And he goes, yeah, don't worry. The patient with like the open wound. I was like, yeah, I didn't really think of it that way.
Yeah, I didn't think of it that way either. But I'm, again, kind of selfish in that regard, Like,
we're live, man.
Yeah, we're live.
We're live.
And the people don't need more of me. They could not use more.
I need more Ray Dunn.
No one needs that. So I appreciate the sacrifice that patient's making to keep the greater good happy out there.
All right, so I have child care, poor drivers. You gave the bad photography, but I have a couple others. So like we might have to take one on and take one off. House/car issues. Something always happens, right? Like, your car might not. Look, when I had no money, I couldn't afford a new battery, right? There's not many cars out on the road to help you get a jump. So, like, car issues is legitimate. And I feel like stuff happens to houses all the time. I'll tell you a quick story. When I was at Temple, we had actually a pretty big snowstorm. But because I was working here at the time, this was when I was a junior, I was working here, and so I stayed at Temple. I didn't go home I think it was during break, or maybe we had I don't know what was going on. Everybody was gone. I was the only one in my apartment. And all of a sudden, I just started hearing this little pitter-patter. I'm trying to follow the sound. I'm like, where is this? And it was my roommate's room, in which he locked the door. And I couldn't do the credit card trick. This is actually a well-put-together door, not apartment. I call him up. I'm like, yo, dude, he lives in South Jersey. He's like, listen, man, something's leaking in your room. Like, you might need to get over here. I said, all right, I'll get there when I can because the roads weren't good. And eventually he made his way over. Love you, Joey. This moron, when we opened the door, saw a bubble of the roof.
Oh.
The roof was bubbling down because it was one of these flipped properties, and sometimes they're not really well put together. When the snow on the roof was beginning to melt, there was a clear crack in the roof, but the fixture of the house itself, the bubbling of the ceiling began. And this idiot, I love you to death, took a pencil and poked said roof. We had a winter wonderland in his room.
What are you doing?
Yeah, so
no offense.
Yeah.
But what an idiot.
Yeah. So he had to sleep in my room that night because the roof, like, it was exposed. Like,
yeah, freezing.
Like, literally the water that started freezing in his room.
Makes sense.
So finally the landlord sent out whoever the next day, and basically all they did was get on the roof, sweep off the rest of the snow, and then just basically patched up the roof. But I think it rained a couple weeks later and it started leaking again. So not the best spot. So house issues, house/car issues. Unpreparedness. If you don't have a 6-pack of beer at your house, and there's a bunch of snow on the ground, you might not be able to get beer to the house. Or maybe more responsibly, if you don't have milk for the baby at the house.
I was going to say.
What are you going to, right? So unpreparedness on multiple levels. And then finally, I have the tough bosses / teachers. The ones that don't cancel class. The ones that do tell employees, like Joe Bell, credit to him. He said, hey, if you can stay home, like if you can handle your business from home, handle your business from home. But like the hard ass boss, it's like, nope, you got to be here. And, sometimes even with today's society. Now, back in the day, it's one thing. But now with the ability to do a lot more things remotely, the hard-ass boss that makes you still come in, that's one of the maybe not benefits of a snow day. Now, because snow day means you're off, I guess we could take that one off and put your photographs in
there. Yeah, we could put that in there. Plan in flexibility, too. Like, game played tonight. There's a game tonight. There's a game tonight. You gotta be able to take care of that. Or maybe you made plans with friends for the last couple months that were scheduled for tonight, and now the snow is attempting to cause a problem with that, and you receive an email. Oh, you want to not go home and stay in hotels? No, I want to go take care of those plans.
Yeah.
I had those plans for months. So plan inflexibility is probably one that I would put on the 5 that I do not appreciate.
Now, I got to give a quick shout out to my man, Hud Rock. Jacob Hudson, who knows Joey from our days at Temple. He said he just texted Joe to reminisce on that great night. Yeah. Thanks for listening, brother. Thanks for listening, brother. I appreciate it. But, yeah, great night. It was awesome having Joey sleep in my room because he would have probably perished sleeping in his room of snow and frozen water. Yeah, great times. All right, let's go back to the phones. Let's go to Uncle Frank. Hello, Uncle Frank. Happy snow day.
Happy Friday, friends.
You're not doing it. You're not doing a damn thing today.
I was telling Brendan, who I haven't spoken to in a while, I was snow blowing my driveway. I jump in, put on my boys, and you're talking one of my favorite pastimes, alcohol.
Oh, well, yeah, of course, pastimes.
I had to call in.
Pastimes?
I mean,
what's pastimes? 2 minutes ago?
No, 2 o'clock.
Yes.
2 o'clock.
Okay, you're gonna wait till 2.
I do.
What's the ideal snow day for Uncle Frank?
It's the same as any other day, really. Josie and I are riding around the beautiful Westchester town.
So you're out on the roads?
Oh, yeah.
Why?
Roads are fun. Why not? I mean, I can hang with Mrs. Uncle Frank, but I like to. I'm antsy,
I know. I know you're antsy. I know you're antsy.
And most of the bar owners, restaurant, they know Josie anyway, so got her head hanging out.
That's good.
Yeah.
Now, Uncle Frank, I'll ask you, because we are still doing a sports talk show today. With the Eagles, do you believe in this front office to right the ship again?
The problem, and thank you for taking me off, putting me back on.
Getting you back on track, yeah. Even though you still had to pause and thank me and all that kind of stuff. So we're still halfway on, halfway off.
The problem with this ownership, guys, they're just too meddlesome. I don't, look at DeAndre, that kid should have had about 1,500 yards rushing this year. And that's why a Vrabel, a Belichick, Harbaugh, I don't see them coming here with these.
No, they're not going to. They're not going to. No. I wish they would, but they're not going to. And then that's the question of whether or not this front office, needs to adjust what they do. But they would tell you, Uncle Frank, hey, we won a Super Bowl, the first time in franchise history 6 years ago, and we got back to one just 2 years ago. So they will tell you that things are still working for them. It's, everybody else has to get in line.
Now, I think you're a proponent of getting Nick out of here, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I think bringing Patricia in, I think it led to the demise. I don't know.
But here's the thing. Here's the thing, and thanks for the call, Uncle Frank. We don't know. I don't know for certain who made that move. I have my beliefs, And I'm looking forward to when Howie Roseman has his end-of-the-year press conference, which will probably be at some point next week. They'll probably wait until a decision is made before Howie speaks. But I really hope somebody does ask Howie point blank, hey, how much of an influence did you have with Matt Patricia being, promoted to defensive coordinator? But ultimately, I can't blame Nick. It's funny. I don't want Nick Sirianni back here, but I'm not about to blame him for Patricia. I'm not, because I just have a very strong feeling that it was Howie Roseman's decision to do that, and I believe it was thought about when they first hired him for that advisory role. That if this new defensive coordinator, who's very inexperienced, doesn't work out, we'll be able to make a switch to a guy that has had success in the past.
Looking at the other side of this, as the head coach of the football team, at some point, we're talking about him sticking up for his guys in this meeting. We're 10-3 at that point. I understand it's been a tough 2 weeks, 3 weeks for the defense. This is the guy that was my defensive coordinator that the Dolphins scored 17 points against us. We shut out the Chiefs in the second half. We were ranked fill in the blank wherever. You want to go with the missed tackles thing we talked about earlier, fill in the blank wherever in terms of scoring defense. I understand this is your guy that you help bring in here. If you want to give him more of a heavy hand in conversation, if you don't think his role is right, maybe we could talk about that. But demoting my defensive coordinator, do you think that's a change that would benefit our football team in a way that can put this season on the path to where you think this is going?
Well, right, which is why I'm not going to – I don't know what Sirianni's role was in this.
Right, well, I'm just saying, for Sirianni, that happened. Now, obviously, it's your boss, and if your boss ultimately wants something to happen, at some point you probably just have to accept that. But his role in that, did he just accept that? Did he get that idea and it was presented to him and say, okay, sounds good?
Well, yeah, I don't know what that.
But you're saying you're
the other weird conversation of, hey Nick, we're telling you, not asking you, but by the way, need you to say that was your decision.
Well,
that's such a weird move, man. Even though, look, we have to go off of Nick's word right now that he was the one that made that decision, but I don't believe that he did, and that's even weirder. And I wonder if part of it is, hey Nick, there's a perception, even though it might be true, there's a perception that we have heavy hands and we don't let you do all that much. So if you can, do us a favor. Just say that was your call. Plus, the guys need to buy into it. The players need to buy into it. They need to know that it was your call, not our call. I wonder if that was what a conversation was, honestly.
I think that's very naive. I think it's very naive. I don't doubt the conversation may have happened, or that the thought process of them being meddlesome is not out there.
You do think it was Sirianni's decision?
No.
Oh,
I think them having to think about the outside perception. If they think really that Sirianni falling on the sword is going to distract us from them being meddlesome, I think that's very naive on that part. And I also think it's very naive on their part to think that the players won't sit there and hey, wait, what happened here?
Yeah, what happened? Yeah.
I'm employee 91. That sounds like a guy that really understood the thought process that went into what happened. Yeah.
Employee 91 who also got paid handsomely from this organization.
Yeah, but he's employee 91. You don't refer to yourself as, I'm employee X or when you're defending a decision. You refer to it when you're saying, you know what, that's the decision they made and we have to go work with it.
Right.
I don't think one of your other longtime guys who've made a lot of money here pointing towards the media about the reason of the demotion is necessarily the players are going to totally accept that this was Nick Sirianni. The guy that's stuck behind Gannon, the guy that's stuck behind Michael Clay, the guy that has quite clearly shown he likes his guys.
He's stuck behind them in the media. And, they weren't getting rid of those guys. I don't know look, we haven't heard anything about Howie Roseman wanted to get rid of Michael Clay, but Nick Sirianni was, so steadfast in saying, no, he's my guy. He's staying. The Doug Peterson that was public, right? The reason why he got fired was because he would not change the coordinators that he wanted to have. I don't know if Sirianni's like that. I don't know.
I find it hard to believe that Sirianni, who's my guys, all of a sudden after 13 weeks makes it like we're arguing the same side of this.
I know, but it's like, hey Nick, do you still want to be a head coach in this league or not? Because we're all saying the same thing. If he gets fired here, is he getting picked up by a head coach by another team?
No, probably not.
I don't think so.
Not this cycle.
Like Doug Peterson, you understood maybe at some point would because he won a Super Bowl and obviously Nick got to a Super Bowl, but I don't know if he's all of a sudden going to be a head coach. I feel like I think more highly of Doug than I did of Nick at this point, like on the way out.
On the way out or just in general. One won, one didn't.
Yeah, but it's not like Doug's been great in Jacksonville this year, but Trevor Lawrence, but how much is that because of him?
Listen, I don't think it's like the most fantastic thing in the world that he's put together there, but
yeah.
Doug Peterson pulled the strings, made it happen.
Or he just, hire an established coach for the first time in ever. But they're not going to do that. We know that. 610-632-0995, the number of Climate. Do you believe in this front office to make the change? Do you believe in this front office to rewrite the ship, to fix everything? For the most part, it seems like yes, but I see somebody on the line that says no. We'll hear that coming up. Also, the good and bad of the snow days. If you don't want to give me 5, just give me 1. We'll see if we can knock one off one way or the other for the good and the bad list. Well, some other fun snow day conversations going on as well, all right here on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
Meeting of the minds. I'm Ray Dunn. This update is brought to you by Lowe's. Shop the close at event now at Lowe's with big savings on the appliances you need now. Lowe's knows home improvement.
The Fanatic.
1220, 97.5 The Fanatic. I'm Andrew Salchunas. 12 o'clock hour brought to us by Service First Heating and Air Conditioning. Get 0% financing for 72 months and a $500 rebate when you purchase a complete heating and cooling system from Service First. Learn more at servicefirsthvac.com. I was just kind of scrolling around during the break to the different reporters, the different beats in Philadelphia to see if there's any sort of update, any sort of thing that we can grab on. And Jeff McClain tweeted about 2 hours ago that Nick Sirianni is slated to meet with Jeffrey Lurie today. So that is happening today. And he continued by saying, while there are indications the Eagles owner is leaning toward retaining his coach, he will have to weigh his overall record against an epic collapse. Remember, Jeff yesterday on this show was leaning toward Jeffrey Lurie keeping Nick Sirianni as the head coach. And I don't agree with it. I don't think you can have that ultimate kind of collapse where not even a single wrinkle was thrown in there, both offensively and defensively, except for changing coordinators defensively and that failing and being even worse. I don't understand how you can do all that and come back as the head coach, because now all of a sudden it's another Brandon Staley situation, in my opinion. But that's kind of how it looks like it's going to go. And so the question is for today, if Nick Sirianni is back, obviously he's not the guy that handles personnel. He's not the guy that's going to be hiring the coordinators. He may give a list of coordinators he'd like, but it's going to be Howie Roseman and Jeffrey Lurie have final say. So the question today at 610-632-0975 is whether or not you believe this front office of Howie and Jeffrey Lurie can fix things again. If they can rewrite the ship another time. Ray, if you could, you put out a poll regarding that just so I could see where the people are leaning. Because for the most part, we've gotten yes responses. But I see Trey in Philly wants to talk about it. What's up, Trey?
How you doing, guys? Hey, Ray, I told you I'd call in eventually.
Appreciate that.
No, but at this point, like, you got to think Howie's draft record is kind of spotty at best. You obviously have the Jalen Ragers, but, like, last year's strategy was take the best Georgia player. And, I mean, to have Georgia players on the defense haven't really panned out.
Jalen Carter might win Rookie of the Year defensively.
Well, yeah, but you have that. But he hit a rookie wall at the end of the year.
Yeah, but that's a lot of players. Yeah, Jordan. Look, Jordan Davis needs to get into football shape. I remember catching some strays when they first drafted him. I wanted Kyle Hamilton over Jordan Davis. I was not upset with the Jordan Davis selection. It's just not who I preferred. And I said that this dude needs to get into better football shape. And I got he runs a 4.4, whatever. I'm like, yeah, the guy is an athletic beast, more athletic than me. But it's one thing to just put up good numbers on the bench and good numbers when you're running a 40. It's fourth quarter, you've played 70% of the snaps. Like, do you still have that motor in you?
Yeah, and then there's Trayvon Walker, number one pick. I mean, he hasn't really done much at Jacksonville, especially compared to like Aiden Hutchinson.
Mm-hmm. Right. So I mean,
I don't know what the strategy would be in coming in this year. I mean, you're kind of cap strapped a little bit, so it's going to have to be built to the draft if you want to right the ship.
Yeah, you have to. I mean, and they have to draft a corner. They should probably draft some sort of linebacker at some point. I know they're not going to do it.
Another safety as well next to Reed Blankenship.
Absolutely, because
not cutting it.
Yeah, I mean, look, I want to draft a safety to eventually replace Reed Blankenship. Right now, it's Sidney Brown is not going to be starting the season healthy, so it's going to be Reed Blankenship and who. So the question is, do they bring back Justin Evans, or do they draft a safety? And I think that would probably be the right route to do. I hope that they draft a safety early on in the draft.
And we haven't even gotten to the linebackers.
Right. Which that's what this organization's about when it comes to linebackers. They will draft a linebacker. They have to, but it's not going to be in the first or second round, I don't think.
No, there's no way.
So you're not really believing all that much in the front office?
No, not. Especially when it's going to come down to drafting. And, I mean, It's been 50-50.
Yeah, listen, Trey, I appreciate the call, man. I mean, it's scary. I do think the last 2 years have been better. Obviously, I mean, my man Dan Baxter was checking in and was like, how can you say the drafts were better? I mean, Jalen Carter's going to win Defensive Rookie of the Year. That's a pretty good start, right? I mean, that is a pretty good start. Let me pull up their drafts in the last 2 years. So Jalen Carter seems to be a home run, and everybody wanted Jalen Carter. He just was falling because of other issues. We'll see Nolan Smith. He made some plays toward the end of the season when he finally got more snaps. I don't know if he's like this game changer, but let's give it time. Tyler Steen might have to start at right guard for you next year. So we'll see how that goes. Sidney Brown, everyone likes. I think he's just very raw. I think he's like the Paul Reed of this football team. Like, learn how to take proper routes to tackles, right? Athletic freak, right? Like, he's incredibly athletic, just like Paul Reed, right? Just, Paul Reed, one of my biggest issues with him early on was he would catch the ball right underneath the net and put it on the ground first. Sidney Brown has a beat on a tackler and then just takes a terrible route and misses it. So some things that Sidney Brown will need to work on. And then, toward the end of the draft, you're kind of throwing darts. Like Keely Ringo, we'll see how he turns. He's a depth guy. Tanner McKee was your 6th-round pick, and Ojomo was your 7th-round pick. And it's just, I don't think anyone's clamoring for Moro Ojomo. No. But he's a 7th-round pick. And then the previous year, Jordan Davis, we'll see. Cam Jurgens wasn't great at right guard. Hopefully he's a better center, which is the position that you drafted him for. Then it's Nakobe Dean, which I don't know. Him falling. But here's the deal. Like, people go, oh, man, it seems like Nakobe Dean's a bit of a mess. Like, I did not like what I saw in Nakobe Dean this year. But a lot of people put him at a first-round talent. They got him in the 3rd round. Like, sometimes when a draft pick doesn't work, I feel like we all freak out, but then forget that, like, we all wanted it. Did anybody not celebrate Nakobe Dean in the 3rd round?
I did. I mean, I certainly thought it was a solid for where you got him.
Like, I just like the revisionist history sometimes. Like, I don't remember speaking. I'll another example, and I'll stick with the Sixers. I don't remember many people being anti-Al Horford when they first signed. I think everybody was on board. I remember taking a handful of calls because they didn't like the Celtics thing. But for the most part, people wanted Al Horford. They wanted to go with the bully ball. They wanted to do all this kind of stuff. I don't think he was in the right position. I also think he wasn't really happy here. I mean, it didn't seem like it. And goes back to Boston, finds the fountain of youth. But, like, sometimes the revisionist history, oh, man, that was such a bad signing. Was it? We all liked it. Was Nakobe Dean really a bad draft pick when we all liked it? So, I think the last 2 drafts, I mean, once you start getting to the 6th and 7th round, okay, but I think he's gotten better at drafting since the Jalen Reagor years.
He's gotten better.
He's gotten better.
I think the one thing that lends a little credence to the frustration with the drafting recently, and I can't even say really the draft before that, this past year, Carter will win Defensive Rookie of the Year.
Yeah.
Tough to have a guy in your rotation that hits a wall midway through the season when you're competing to win something.
You also had him hit a wall because you put a rookie into play as much as he did right away. And that part of the depth issue.
Yeah, part of the depth issue, but also part of, okay, if you're drafting in the 1st round for a team competing, I have no problem with the pick. I'm not saying, I'm just playing the other side of this for a second here. That when you draft in the 1st round as a competing team, you are looking more than likely for something that fits to put you in a place that they're going to contribute to winning. Again, Carter, I think, did that. Nolan Smith, for some people, that might be a little bit more frustrating. And I can guarantee you we're going to get to the point with Nolan Smith where people start pointing out Branch, the safety for the Lions, where it's like, well, could have done that. Could have done that instead. I think for some of those picks, you start looking, well, we appreciate depth. We appreciate you building with the future in mind. Could you have won one with some of the other talents? I don't think it's that easy. I don't think necessarily that I agree with that mindset, but I think for some people, the drafting frustration comes with, was there someone there that could have given you the immediate impact, the immediate draw of going out there and winning this season?
So there was a player that was drafted early on in the 2nd round, and Joey Porter Jr., that I know a lot of people wanted, that I wanted because I wanted another cornerback to eventually be groomed in this system. But once more, just because I said I wanted Joey Porter Jr. doesn't mean I wasn't okay with the Nolan Smith pick. We all thought Nolan Smith was going top 15. Right. There were mock drafts that had the Eagles taking him.
Yes.
At 10, right? And he falls to the Eagles at 30. And these are the mock draft people, the people that are, they're the guys that study all this. They're the smartest people in football. So, yeah, I mean, you could have probably done something like that. But I'm not mistaken, Slay and Bradbury already signed. So are you going to draft Joey Porter Jr. to basically take a seat for a year? Or are you going to go with this route of a guy like Nolan Smith, who you probably thought would make more of an impact early on, but they didn't play him?
Right. I mean, it's drafting. It's a lot of, dartboard, the whole thing. Like for football, I think in the first round, when you have 2 first-round picks, you're expecting one of them to be a full season-long contributor to a football team that's going out there and winning games when you're in that realm. I remember the big thing with the Bijan Robinson conversation for a lot of people was, well, this pick's actually luxury. You have a pick this high that's a luxury.
Right.
So why not go out there and add someone that contributes? Again, I'll never subscribe to that theory.
I don't think, how we can look at some drafts in the past. I don't know if this draft, with the whole, all right, you could have gone different routes with, Nolan Smith. It's still very early to tell, so, bear with me. I don't know if this draft is that draft that we go back 10 years from now and go, man, look at who they could have drafted. Remember the Freddie Mitchell thing? You needed a wide receiver, and Reggie, you don't draft Reggie Wayne. You drafted Freddie Mitchell. You don't draft Chad Johnson. You drafted Freddie Mitchell. You didn't draft guys that, had close to Hall of Fame careers. All right, so you didn't draft Joey Porter Jr., but you also had corners, 2 starting corners. Jalen Carter, I think we're all going to be happy with Jalen Carter, but in the 3rd round. So they took Tyler Steen and Sidney Brown. The players that followed that, Drew Sanders, Hendon Hooker, that Tank Dell, who he had a great season, but they didn't need a wide receiver at the time. So I don't know if this is one of those drafts that we go back to 10 years from now and go, man, look at all these mistakes they made. When you also have to take into context what they needed at the time. Does that make sense?
Oh, it makes a ton of sense.
The Rager draft, we go back to the Rager draft and we go, they needed a wide receiver, and look at all these wide receivers that were available, including Justin Jefferson, who I don't know if people thought Justin Jefferson would be the Justin Jefferson that he is now, but I know we all wanted him more so than Jalen Rager. That's a draft that we will continue to go back to. Wow, look at where they missed here. I don't know if we do that with this draft.
Yeah, I don't know. We go back entirely. We're going to end up, starting to do things. I think the next big one for a lot of people will probably be one of the safeties, whether it be Hamilton after Davis or whether it be Brian Branch and Nolan Smith.
Right.
I think that'll be, because right now we're looking at, again, safety position where it's, okay, do you bring back Byard? Reed Blankenship is still here. You're going to be without Sidney Brown to start the year. You're looking at that safety position. And again, it's organizational philosophy, the whole thing. I got it. But
I know.
I think that's the one where people, when we start, because it's going to start, we're going to get 3 weeks out. People are going to be done talking about necessarily the frustrations. They'll start finding other frustrations to voice.
Right.
And they'll start with, what was bad about this team and what could have been better about it? And I think that'll be where the focus begins.
Absolutely. And look, the Kyle Hamilton one, especially if we're watching him go to the AFC Championship game, if he makes a play, that will, a lot of people will be bringing up their old takes, like myself. I wanted him over Jordan Davis, and that didn't happen. But I wasn't, complaining about Jordan Davis. That's the other thing.
Right.
I know other people wanted Kyle Hamilton over Jordan Davis. But I know a lot of people were happy about Jordan Davis. So I don't want to then all of a sudden do the whole, oh, man, see, I was right. The Markelle Fultz thing. I actually had a different plan. I wanted to trade back and draft De'Aaron Fox, right? When they traded up and got Markelle Fultz, I was thrilled. So I'm not going to all of a sudden sit here and go, man, look at how Colangelo screwed that one up. When we all liked it. Something that we have to work on. That's a society, Ray.
Show of accountability.
That's what we do, man. That's what we do. Okay. Real quick before we get back to the phones, because I see you there. 610-632-0975. Mina Kimes and Sheil Kapadia did a podcast together. And Mina Kimes brought up that the Lions offense loves using motion to toy with defenses to manipulate leverage. She asked the question, where do the Bucs rank in yards per play versus passes with motion? Do you know this? Did you see it?
I just saw. I went and looked while you brought this up, and now I'm upset, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to turn my day around.
So the Detroit Lions once more, love using pre-snap motion to toy with defenses, to give Jared Goff some information, see if they're playing man, if they're playing zone, see who might be blitzing, all this kind of stuff, right? Don't forget Nick Sirianni earlier this year. Oh, we don't motion just to motion. Ha! You think we're crazy? The Tampa Bay Buccaneers rank 32nd, dead last in yards per play with passes against motion. Dead last, Ray. Last. Bottom. Number 32. We don't motion just to motion. This is why you can't bring him back, man. This information is out there. They pay people, I'm sure, handsome salaries as a part of the analytics department to have numbers like this. How do you not know this? Now, the reason why I even saw the tweet was because Dan Orlovsky popped up my timeline because he responded to it. Meanwhile, Philly plays, quote, hey, go out there and stand still ball, which is true. We don't run snap motion just to pre-snap motion. Come on, man. God, it bothers me. Information is out there, and yet you don't do it. Hey, Johnson, how do you attack this year's defense? Well, you throw intermediate passes, against interior defensive players. You don't do it. Everything's on the sidelines. Everything's short. Everything's bubble screens. It's ridiculous. I'm sorry. I was not expecting a pop-off at any point today. But Jesus, man, I see this. It just pisses me off even more. How do you not know this as the head coach of a football team? Let's go to Mark and Wayne. Hello, Mark.
Guys, how are you? I was up in the air. I mean, I really liked Sirianni. Well, initially, I didn't know who he was. And then when they did what they did the first 2 years, and I was at the Buffalo game, which was the apex of the season, where Jalen runs in overtime. But this collapse is so epic. And I'll tell you, you go to the next week after Buffalo. Remember San Francisco? It's 6-0 after the first quarter.
Yeah, they're actually winning.
Yeah, and it's like somebody flipped the switch. So right there, Lurie's got to. It's not an easy decision for Lurie because he's got to figure out what the hell happened. This was an epic collapse, but I think he probably has to go now because they quit. And I'll point to one play.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you guys recall the Giants game. We were doing the brotherly shove, and that guy
jumped off over the line of scrimmage, and not a single player backed up Jalen Hurts.
Exactly right. First of all, he was helmet to helmet. He should have been called for that, maybe thrown out. Secondly, an Eagle lineman or tight end should have started a hockey fight.
Yep, no retaliation whatsoever that showed that sideline was dead, Mark.
When I saw that, and it just really pissed me off. And I think if I'm Lurie, I look at that play and that's it. And just give you a quick.
Well, hell, Mark, I'll even go before that. The San Francisco game when the guys are running through your DB drills before the game, and everybody just stands there like, guys, stop! Please don't do this. Like it's like there was no fight, no life on that sideline.
No fight. I don't get it. And getting back to that push play, I'm an older guy. I'm going to go take you guys way back to the 70s. First Steelers-Cowboys Super Bowl. And I hate Dallas, so I'm cheering like crazy for the Steelers. The Steelers kicker misses a field goal early in the game. And Jack Lambert, that wild-eyed middle linebacker, was out there blocking. Remember Jack?
Mm-hmm.
And Cliff Harris, who was a cheap shot artist, D-back for Dallas, goes up to Jarella. And he patted him on the head like, haha, you missed the field goal. Lambert went over, grabbed him by the shoulder pads, threw him on his head. And nobody on Dallas stood up for him. Steelers went on to win the game. So I thought of that when that play happened with Jalen. And Jalen's was a lot worse. And I thought, these guys don't care for him, or there's just no fight, period.
I mean, that was strange. Not even I didn't even see Sirianni run out onto the field or anything, Mark. Right. And I appreciate the call. Like, you're the head coach, dude. Like, I don't get that. we've talked about it a couple of times. That moment, and I didn't even know. I'll be honest, I didn't notice it right away. Like Mark said, he noticed it right away. I didn't notice it until somebody posted it the next day, and I was like, "Yeah, dude, that's weird that not a single player, smacked that dude upside his head." It was like, "Oh, it's okay. We'll run it back. We got the first down. We got what we wanted." That was odd. I don't know if that's a Jalen thing. I don't know if that's a Sirianni thing, but dude, Sirianni, I don't know. It's a messy situation, dude.
Lifeless group. That's what that's.
Well, how could you not be when you're going up against a Bucks team that is 32nd, dead last in the league against pre-snap motion pass play, yards per pass play, and you don't do anything. We talked about the lack of creativity since week 1. That's astonishing to me. How do you have this kind of information and not do anything about it? VT Rodcheck said, "Hey, dude, thanks for pissing me off again. I was doing a lot better. And me that stat. Are you kidding me? All the more reason why Nicky's got to go on a train and get out of here." Loopy guy. Obviously, Nick only likes the analytics that works in his favor, not when we use it for criticism. Hashtag coaching, the word that I've been using, Ray, malpractice. You can't bring that guy back. I'm sorry. He seems like a nice guy, good family dude. I understand it. When you have that kind of information, how do you not utilize it? Holy hell, you ran 175 million yards against them earlier in the year. You ran 2 plays in the first half and you gave up. It was a 1-score game at halftime. My God. I'm still annoyed by the drive before halftime when they run it on 2nd and 1 and then it takes them 23 seconds to get the next play off. Wow, I thought today was going to be a much more laid-back day for myself, Ray. And then that pops up.
Well, yeah, I mean, you can't control you can technically control what shows up on your timeline, but you really can't. They knew that was targeted. Elon Musk did this to you. That's on them.
Why would you bring him back? Why would you bring him back?
Do I have to role play as Nick Sirianni again?
No, I didn't like it. You were great at it, but I didn't like it.
Thank you.
Holy hell. 12 o'clock hour brought to us by Service First Heating and Air Conditioning. Get 0% financing for 72 months and a $500 rebate when you purchase a complete heating and cooling system from Service First. Learn more at servicefirst.hvac.com. I got to thank Mina Kimes and Sheil Kapati for the content, though. Jeez. I'm not in good health now. All right. When I read you that stat, listen to me, folks. When I read you the stat that the Buccaneers ranked dead last in the NFL in yards per play versus passes with pre-snap motion, and you see what the Eagles freaking did Monday night, in which they scored 9 points, by the way, 9 points. And they stuck with what they tried using all season long. And in that same season in which they were 10-1, to their credit, they fell to 11-6 and then scored 9 points and got embarrassed by the Buccaneers on Monday Night Football. When I tell you all of this, how do you react to that? And if you are in favor of bringing Nick Sirianni back, how do you hear that and say, yeah, that's the guy, because he's made the playoffs 3 straight years? Colossal failure, coaching malpractice. He can't come back. It will be a mistake when it eventually comes out that he does. 610-632-0975. Do we have Snow Day beers here? My God, I might need one. I'm Andrew Salchunas. It's the Midday Show right here, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
Lori and Sirianni to meet. I'm Ray Dunn. This update is brought to you by PJ Williams for
Okay, sorry that we're trying to ask questions that may actually give you a little help. But no, he's the football guy. The other thing that we're gonna do, because I got planned. It's Friday. It's a snow day Friday. Something that was going around on social media yesterday. It's not the first time that this has happened, but there's something going around on social media where it's basically like, a bunch of dudes can just sit around and just name random wide receivers all day. I don't know exactly what this tweet was word for word, but you've seen this tweet before, right? And so I have an idea that I want to play a game with Ray. So the tweet was about wide receivers, and I saw your tweet of Paul the Burner Turner as the random wide receiver.
Of course.
I want to do this a whole skill position thing. At first I thought 22, but I don't want to go offensive lineman and defensive lineman. My apologies to the big men up front. I want to go skill position players, okay? So what we're going to do at some point in the beginning of the 1 o'clock hour, we'll go toe-to-toe with the random quarterback, random fullback, random wide receiver, running back. We'll go 3 wide receivers, 2 ends. Okay. It's just something to throw out there. Have some fun with it. Okay. Now, the dark, dark story from my past. And it's amazing because Ricky Patalico and Jen Scordo had never heard this story. And it just shows how ungrateful people can be in this world. The worst part is when you work with those ungrateful people. That's the worst. You hold the door open for somebody at the Wawa, they don't say thank you. Yeah, you want to go, screw you, man. But, all right. But the people that work with you, man, in the building that are ungrateful, that's terrible. The dark time in my life was probably 2 or 3 years ago when we had a similar snow day just like this. Sit down, kids. It was a dark day just like this. And so I worked middays, right? I worked till 2 o'clock. The majority of the snow was coming from noon to 4, something like that. And so I got off at 2. The people that were staying at the hotel were the morning show, myself, and then the afternoon show. Tyrone was a part of it. This is before Jen was even here. I think Natalie was on the show still. And so they also were staying at the hotel because now it's the roads are, even though the snowstorm may have been done, the roads are a mess. You're not expecting them to go home. So we all stayed at the hotel. And so I got done at 2. I had to go home first, even though home was Manayunk. So I'm driving up the hotel's right here, and I'm making the drive home first. Had to let the dog out, right? Christy was pregnant at the time, so I wanted to have dinner prepared for her because she was driving home through the snow later to get back from work. And so, you know what I did, Ray? I said, man, I'm going to be with my coworkers. I should bring beer. But because of the state of the roads, I can't go to a beer distributor, right? So I go, all right, let me just load up any way I can. Now, keep in mind, there's a building across the street from here, Two Bala. Two Bala has a garage underneath that's open to the public, right? Because there's some shops there, too. And so we usually park there when we're expecting a heavy snowstorm and stay overnight at the hotel because you don't have to dig out your car the next day. So park underneath. And it's a bit of a hike to the hotel, especially when you're walking through 6 inches of snow, right? So I can't drag a cooler. I can't, any of that kind of stuff, right? And I couldn't stop at the beer distributor to get a 30-pack of something. So whatever I had in my fridge, Ray, I threw in a backpack. This backpack for our YouTube audience. This Jansport backpack that has been with me since college and has had many beer cans in its day.
Wow, you're cool, man.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's me. I'm hip. And so, Ray, I'm going, all right. I always have Miller Lite in the fridge. It's the beer of the South Tunis household, and Corona. Thanks to my friends at Corona. It's Miller Lights and Coronas. This is like since my dad's fridge, right? So, like, I just don't do the St. Pauli girl and other stuff that he drinks. But, like, Miller Lite, Corona, always at my house. But I go, you know what? There's some other people that will be there, including my old buddy Jamie Lynch, who's a snob when it comes to the beer. So I had some, IPAs. Had a bunch of breweries that have dropped off beer in the past. Let me just load this thing up. I mean, I took my headphones out. I knew I could find a pair around here. So the only thing in my backpack was beer. And those ungrateful sons of you-know-whats laughed when I walked in. They thought it was funny that I looked like a college kid all over again. Connor Thomas, of all people. What, you couldn't have stopped at a beer store before you came here? Dude, have you looked outside? And they all gave me crap, each and every one of them. To the point where it was almost like Jamie was like, all right, fine, I'll have one of your beers. All right, fine. Here you go. All those ungrateful you-know-whats, all of them. I think the only person that was like, that's nice, was Bob. Connor, no, made fun of. Jamie, made fun of. Johnny the K, all these people. The only other person that I know that was cool was Tyrone. Tyrone's a foxhole guy. Now, Tyrone didn't get there till later because he was doing the show till 6 o'clock. I was already, I think, gone because I was just probably in my room crying because I was made fun of. And Tyrone was like, oh, who brought all these beers? And they basically like, oh, my God, Andrew brought them in his backpack. And he was like, wow, that's really cool of him. Sometimes the people closest to you, right?
Incredibly disappointing.
Now, if you were at a hotel and I brought a crap ton of beer, I would imagine you would be thankful for it.
I'd stand up and applaud. There would be no questions. I would immediately grab one, and I would thank you for your service. I would applaud you. Then we go on and having a great day. Yeah. There would be no laughing. There would be no mocking.
Nope.
You did a service to those people.
Yeah. All of them. Everybody. And I brought multiple different kinds of beer to try to appease every person.
Connor, I kind of understand. Like, if the grain was going against there, him throwing a laugh at your way, I could see him starting to laugh.
Oh,
Jamie there is a really, really disappointing move on him.
Yeah.
I
love him to death.
I didn't anticipate that out of him.
You guys all know it. Love him to death. But, man, just a troubling time when sometimes the coworkers that you think you love most are just right there to pick on you when you're doing a good deed.
That's a very nice thing you did.
Yeah.
You went up the hills of Manayunk.
Yeah.
Brought them beer in the snow.
Yep. And walked from Tubala. Way down. By that.
Fair.
Yeah, look, you put beers in your backpack. You know, it gets
heavy. I know.
Sad. All right. That tweet, the random wide receiver tweet. We'll get back to the phones in a second. So yours was Paul Turner.
Yes.
I did not tweet mine out, but the first name, random name, because that's the thing. It's the random name, the guy that wasn't all that great, but like, whatever. So random, I forgot he played for the Eagles. That's how random. You remember Seiji Ajiro Tutu? It's the first wide receiver I thought of. And the random, like obviously, you say wide receiver, I think of like Deshaun Jackson.
Yeah. You got to start like working the brain for the less obvious answers.
And so Seiji Ajiro Tutu was the first one.
That's a pull on your part.
Now, if I say quarterback, who's the first one that comes to your mind?
Random quarterback first.
And it doesn't have to be Eagles. Again, I forgot Ajiro Tutu played for the Eagles.
Yeah, well, I'm trying to reset the brain for the names because Mike Kafka was always a good one for me for that, but we've talked about him right now because of offensive coordinator. Jimmy Clausen.
That's a great one. Mel Kiper's still employed. Shouldn't be because he said that if Jimmy Clausen did not pan out in the NFL, that he would quit his job.
And that's why I think he sticks in my brain so much.
I wrote down a guy that had some decent seasons, but ultimately was not all that great. Josh Freeman. First name that came to my mind.
That's insane. Because when we were having this conversation, I was thinking back because I mentioned that the like early 10s Bills for some reason. I was thinking
Yeah,
about
you were
them.
telling me about that.
And
yeah.
I was saying that, it was a team that I played with every once in a while. It would be like the one I got stuck with in Madden, where it's like those Buccaneers teams. And I was like, who was the quarterback? It was Glennon, and who did Glennon battle with?
Josh Freeman. Josh Freeman, as a rookie, started 9 games. They went 3-6 in those games. He threw 10 touchdowns to 18 picks. Then year 2, he catches the league by storm. 25 touchdowns to 6 picks. The Bucs go 10-6 that year. The next year, they go 4-11. He throws 16 touchdowns to 22 picks. Then they go 7-9, but he throws 27 touchdowns to 17 picks. And then he was done after that. He played for Tampa, Minnesota, and Indianapolis, but only started a handful of games. So Josh Freeman was the quarterback.
What was the year they go 10-6?
That was 2010.
2010. That checks out. That's the timeline.
They win the division that year.
They probably ran to Breeze in the.
No, they didn't.
Saints?
Yeah, they didn't even. They finished 3rd.
Wow.
The NFC South. This year was a mess.
NFC South still has a team alive.
In
NFCs can't say that.
2010, the Falcons were 13-3. The Saints 11-5, Bucks 10-6, and your Carolina Panthers 2-14. They just can't get out the mud. Let's go to Joe in Roxborough. Joe, you're on the Fanatic.
Yeah, what's up, guys?
Yo, Joe.
How you doing?
What's Roxborough looking like right now?
It's pretty crappy out here.
Yeah. Are you working today?
Slinging pizzas for Alex Pizza.
Oh, nice. Oh, I've been to Alex. What's up?
Yeah, Alex, good time.
That sure is.
Yeah.
So what's going on?
I like to talk about the Eagles taking Jeremiah Trotter Jr. for a linebacker position.
Yeah, I mean, I know a lot of people want him. I think a lot of people are familiar with the name, but he's also a talented player. So.
Yeah, I feel like we definitely need the middle linebacker position shored up because we got exposed all Tampa Bay and pretty much the end of the season.
Yeah, I mean, all season long. Now, hold on. So he's a first-round grade, right? A lot of people have him going first round, maybe second. That's the only problem with the Eagles.
Yeah, they don't take linebackers in the first.
Right?
If he falls to the second round, hopefully Howie grabs him.
I mean, that'd be nice.
Because we need to help him quarterback because Bradbury just got absolutely exposed by Mike Evans.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be – look, they have to do a lot this offseason, Joe. I mean, they are going to have to focus on it in the draft, like you said. But then there's probably also going to be the free agents maybe coming off of their rookie contracts, or maybe there's guys that are still on their rookie contract. Like that, Patrick Surtain keeps on popping up over and over again, right? So maybe a guy that you would trade for that's still young, you might give up big draft capital, but for a guy who's proven himself a little bit in the league that's still on his rookie contract that might get paid in a year or two.
What would you think it would take to get Patrick Surtain off the Broncos?
Well, I mean, I remember earlier this year there was talking points about trading Devontae Smith for him, right? And because A.J. Brown was playing so well, and so Devontae Smith was going to get paid eventually, and maybe you wouldn't pay Devontae Smith and you would keep A.J. Brown. So I don't know if it's a player swap. I don't know if it's a couple of picks. I mean, the guy's a hell of a talent, so it wouldn't be a cheap price.
Nah, but that's a price you pay for a shutdown corner now.
Yeah, exactly, especially when you didn't have that at all this year. Thanks for the call, Joe. I appreciate your pizza shop. It's a good spot there. Alex is in Roxborough. It's a good spot.
The snow day and the pizza shop is always an adventure.
Yes.
Had a couple of those.
The PSA. Yesterday I did the.
Oh, no.
Yesterday I did the dust the roof off your car off. You could literally be fined lots of money if you damage cars or kill people. The ordering of delivery on a snow day, I know, is a hard conversation for people to have. Because you yourself, you don't want to, think about it. Why don't you want to go pick up the food? Because you don't want to drive in the weather. So you're going to have somebody else do it. And the only response you usually get in a conversation like this is, well, they get paid to do it. I understand. Tom Alvord used to I forget what he used to do. Where he delivered food before he was working here. I forget for which restaurant down in the Ocean City County. And he said, yeah, dude, the worst days was when the weather was terrible.
Yes.
And that kind of sucks.
The same car that you see me driving out of here in is the car in which I was driving pizzas around. And
in weather like this.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's not fun. You're sliding everywhere. And I'm not going to say it's always, but it was always like the things that stick out. You know, we talked about you usually remember the bad before you remember the good.
Yes.
Like the deliveries I remember making would be to like, oh, the neighborhood that just wasn't plowed or the.
Right.
You know,
they're like, oh, we can't get out.
Yeah. Or it's like, the person takes an extra, 30 seconds to come to the door and you're standing out there in the snow, freezing, trying to hold this pizza waiting for them. And then the tip is
not great. If you're going to do it, you better tip well.
Yeah.
If you're going to order takeout or delivery, excuse me, in weather like this, you better tip well.
I remember one delivery where I got back to the shop and there was some call had happened where someone was frustrated about the delivery time.
Yeah, see, get the hell out of here. Like, you're an awful human being.
You're at home. We talked about the freedom of responsibility.
You're at home. Eat a freaking snack. Like, you're a terrible human being. If you're upset with the time of the delivery, how long it took when there's a freaking blizzard outside, you're going to rot in hell.
I'm not going to fight that.
Like, you suck. You just suck as a human being. It's plain and simple. If you are upset about how long it takes for something to be delivered when there's a blizzard outside, you stink. Look yourself in the mirror.
Listen, I'm all for this conversation. For you, I could agree. We could do 4 hours on me.
I get passionate about these things, man. Like, come on. Like, I feel bad. Like, look, you know what I feel bad for? Even though they run a very tight ship at the Chick-fil-A drive-thru. Look, I'm a former employee, so I can speak off of experience. I feel bad for the kids that are outside when it's raining and they're in the Chick-fil-A coats. You know what? Park your car and freaking walk inside. All right, now you got a kid that's standing outside making $6 an hour in the freaking pouring rain in a coat. And they're supposed to say, my pleasure? I'd say, screw you, making me stand out here.
I think at that point, we also maybe like Eagles secondary flow, simplify the process here. We don't need them standing outside. Just be a drive-through. Operate like a regular drive-through chain in that regard, okay? We don't need the kids standing out there.
I understand.
So, come on, Chick-fil-A. No. Let's think about this.
My former employer fired me. Got one segment left. 610-632-0975. We'll have some more fun with this. We got 40 minutes left on a snow day on a Fanatic Friday right here, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
A meeting of the minds. I'm Ray Dunn. This update is brought to you by Lowe's. Shop the close event now at Lowe's with big savings on the appliances you need now. Lowe's knows home improvement. Shop the close event now at Lowe's. Nick Sirianni is scheduled to meet with Jeffrey Lurie. The Philadelphia Inquirer's Jeff McClain reported yesterday that Eagles head coach Nick Sirianni will meet with owner Jeffrey Lurie today. The Athletics' Diana Rossini reported earlier this week that Sirianni and Howie Roseman
Altunis on 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Yep, I'm Andrew Salchunas. It's 1:20 here on this Fanatic Friday. Fanatic Friday is presented by Pumpman Philly. For 24/7 emergency repair or pump replacement, count on Pumpman Philly, the guys who know to fix your flow. And our 1 o'clock hour brought to us by Ferguson HVAC Line Conklin. Attention HVAC contractors for equipment, parts, and supplies for every heating and cooling job. Visit one of Ferguson's counter locations in Bensalem, King of Prussia, Pennsauken, or Westchester. We have the best show ever coming your way at 2 o'clock. We'll do our pick segment for the divisional round of the playoffs coming up at 1:30. Get to a couple of calls. But Ray, in the random player by position tweet, I'll ask you this one. First running back that comes to your mind when you think of a random one.
Lorenzo Booker.
That's a great one. There you go. You got a stats?
No, I don't have stats.
No.
2000, late 2000s. He was with the Eagles at least preseason 2000 something. Florida State, I believe.
Good work out of you.
Yeah.
All right, I'll give you.
I don't have stats for you though.
I'll give you a backup running back. And the reason why this name has come to mind recently is because I told you I found the ESPN NFL 2K5 game again, and I did a fantasy draft after the Eagles lost to the Cardinals, and I'm still playing it. You know, when Cooper goes to bed, it's nice, right? And I told you I have Warwick Dunn as my starting running back with Deuce Staley as the backup. And I was thinking about Warwick Dunn back in the day. Remember, he was with All-Stop before. But there was another big power back that he once played with in Atlanta. How about that T.J. Duckett? Wow. T.J. Duckett.
All right.
Man.
Got the numbers?
I remember he had, I think, a double-digit touchdown season. Because Warwick Dunn, he always had the Warwick Dunn would hate playing for the Lions.
Yes.
Because he'd rush for 150 yards and finish with 0 touchdowns.
Speaking of Lions, Joique Bell.
Joique Bell, it's a great one. Did he play with the Eagles?
Feels like he was a cup of coffee.
Hold on. I'm pretty sure he played with the Eagles or was brought here. Hold on. Yep.
How long did that last?
Oh, he went to Detroit after the Eagles.
One of the classic. He was here, but he wasn't here.
He was here for 3 games and did not record a single stat. And then goes to Detroit, and it was okay. It's okay. 8 touchdown season in 2013, 7 touchdowns in 2014, almost rushed for 1,000 yards. T.J. Duckett, by the way, 11 touchdowns in 2003. So that's the year they got to the NFC Championship game, right? And the Eagles, oh, no, that was the following year. They went 5-11 that year. Was Warwick Dunn the lead back? Yes, he was. And, he had all the touchdowns taken away from him.
Big back. Mike Tolbert.
Mike Tolbert's a great answer. Yeah, it's great. I mean, it's tremendous. That's just incredible that you go with Mike Tolbert. I had an email about a wide receiver from Daniel. He went Hank Baskett.
It's a great one. I thought of Hank Baskett last night while I was going through the Eagles wide receivers.
Now, Nick checked in with a bunch on Twitter of random Eagles skill position players. He went Tebow at quarterback. I can't go random Tebow. I know people forget that he was with the Eagles, but, Tebow was it was insane here at camp. But he goes Reno Mahe as a running back. Tremendous answer.
Good answer.
Tony Hunt at fullback. Now, my fullback was Cecil Martin. Another great fullback of the Eagles. He goes Chad Hall, Miles Austin.
That's a good one.
And Steve Smith. Not the good Steve Smith.
Steve Smith was one that came to mind in the last hour for me.
Yeah, not the Steve Smith, Hall of Fame Steve Smith. Or will be Hall of Fame. Is he in yet? He will be. I don't know if he's in yet. And then tight end / long snapper, Mike Bartram. That's great. Great work by Nick there. All right, let's go back to the phones. Let's talk to, look at Mitch in Phoenix. Hi, Mitch.
How you doing, boys?
What's up, man?
You lost me. You were talking about a stat, Tampa Bay Buccaneers ranking 32nd against the what? What do you call that?
Against passing plays that had pre-snap motion.
Pass passing plays that had pre-snap motion.
Yeah, so yards per pass, like per reception, when the play had pre-snap motion before it.
Okay. Then immediately you went into your story how you went home to get the beer.
Yes.
And I didn't get the correlation at all.
Oh, no, Tyrone reminded me of it during the break because Tyrone was there that day. I told you that I will tell the story momentarily, but first. And then I gave the wide receiver thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
I get it.
I listen, I know. It's sometimes hard to follow along.
Well, you guys drink too heavy while you're doing your job.
Yeah, I'm hammered right now.
I can tell.
It's a snow day, Mitch.
Huh?
It's a snow day.
Yeah, big deal. It hasn't snowed in 2 years. You guys have had nothing over there. 2 years of mild weather.
Yeah, well, not now.
Well, it's one day.
Oh, we had a Tuesday, too. Oh, it's like the Ice Age all over again, Mitch.
Oh, come on. Give me a break. Anyway.
You walked uphill both ways, didn't you?
I did what?
Never mind. What do you got on the Sixers?
A lot on the Sixers, but nobody wants to talk about the Sixers or the Flyers.
Well, I actually talked about the Flyers at the beginning of the show. Owen Tippett, man.
Yeah, that was a great goal.
It's incredible. And they're a fun team to watch. And Mitch, I said once I know that the Flyers are back on the minds of people because when that goal happened, social media blew up. And when social media starts buzzing about a team in town, that's when you know they're back.
But you know they're going to disappoint at the end of the year, right?
You're just Mr. Sunshine, aren't you?
Yeah.
That's why it doesn't snow in Phoenix, because you're Mr. Sunshine, and you brighten everybody's day.
No snow in Phoenix. You're absolutely correct. I was disappointed that the Sixers didn't get Siakam. I thought Siakam was the piece they needed.
Were you going to give him a max contract?
Well, his contract for this year is what it is, and then he's a free agent. Is that correct?
Yes. So were you going to give him a max contract? Because they gave up 3 first-round picks. So you're not going to give 3 first-round picks for a rental.
No, that's true.
So would you have given Pascal Siakam a max contract?
Which is how much? You tell me.
Well, whatever. You get 3 players that have the max. So there's the super max, there's the regular max. Joel Embiid is a super max player. Tyrese Maxey will be a max contract player.
And then
I wouldn't do it, is what I'm getting at, Mitch. I appreciate the call. I wouldn't do it. Man, got to keep up. I wouldn't do it. I would not have given Pascal Siakam a max contract. I understand the connection with Nick Nurse is there. I understand that he was available. I understand he's a very good player. Like, I like Pascal Siakam. Don't get me wrong. I don't think he stinks. Not in my plans. Now, I'm still in the Zach LaVine bandwagon. If it's not Zach LaVine, then you're going to get some other guys that fit with this roster, rotational players, role players, and then next offseason when Tyrese Maxey will get a max contract, now you have Embiid, Maxey, and then you hope to get somebody else. And they have plenty of money to mess around with next year. I just was not going to give up 3 first-round picks for a rental or for 3 first-round picks for a guy I don't want to give a max contract to. Fair?
Fair. I would have seriously considered it.
Okay. That's fine. So were you disappointed when the news came out that he went to Indiana?
When I saw 3 first-round picks, I kind of threw my hands up in the air of like, well, what are you going to do? Like, negotiating with the Raptors has been historically a pain in the rear end for a lot of teams.
Like, so they've made 2 trades this year. And I'll be honest, I wasn't sad when neither of them came to Philadelphia. When OG Anunoby, who I thought would actually be a very nice piece on this team, but again, I don't see him as a guy that I want to give up a ton for.
Yeah, and
a
give
guy
him
that
the
you're
contract
gonna
out.
pay.
Yeah,
right.
I liked both pieces and the fits and what you would have been able to work it. Siakam, I saw myself seriously considering, but ultimately, I'm okay that both have found somewhere else. I think I can make my peace with them.
And I know we're also looking at like max contract players because you have that slot, and then Tobias Harris is going to leave probably after this season. So then,
which this free agent class continues to get weaker. The Siakam trade, he has to sign Indiana. You don't give up those picks without the little wink, wink. Hey, this is gonna work out. So this free agent class continues to get okay.
Can I say something?
Oh no.
If the Philadelphia 76ers gave Tobias Harris another max contract, I might never watch a game again in my life.
I'm not saying that it's going to happen. I'm just saying that the
you're
free
right.
agent class continues to get worse.
And he's starting to play some good basketball. If Tobias Harris got a second max contract from the Philadelphia 76ers, I may never watch a game again in my life.
I'm not saying it's going to happen. Don't make this Rays trying to sign up for
Call me casual all you want. I would not watch another game the rest of my life.
I'm not saying I would do it. Not
rest
saying
of my
it's
life,
going to
even
happen.
after he retires.
He's gonna be very happy in Detroit. Okay, I don't know what you want from me.
But you're right. The free agent, because remember Jaylen Brown was one of them. He got the extension. Kawhi Leonard, Paul George, Harden's still out. Why don't you go after James Harden, man?
Let's go back to the phone.
Let's go to Stan. Talking some more Sixers. What's up, Stan?
Yo, what's going on, Truth? How you been, bro?
I'm doing great. What was your thoughts on the Siakam not getting Siakam?
Yeah, so for me, it was kind of like a shoulder shrug. It would have been nice, but at the same time, he's for a guy who's 30. I'm not giving him a max.
No.
You know, honestly, it's so weird because I watched the way the team is built, and so much for me is hinges on coaching, right? Because you look at what we had last year, and you felt like you had enough. You were up 3-2 against Boston, but between James Harden and Embiid and then Doc Rivers, you just fell, right? And it's like you just don't think with Nick Nurse that you might not even need like a quote-unquote third star because you're looking at it and you're saying to yourself, can he be the one to pull out the things that other coaches couldn't do, right?
Right.
Like, can he do for Tobias Harris, you know, what other coaches have done with other, you know, solid players where you don't need him. Like, I look at a guy like Chris Middleton and I'm saying to myself, all right, do I need Chris Middleton to be on the same, you know, level as Giannis or Dame?
No, but you need him to hit his shot when it's open. And look, how many comparisons have we given Tobias and Chris Middleton? Now, Chris Middleton, the better player of the two, but like it's
But it
you know,
helps when you
we
win.
have
When you
compared
win.
the two, right?
Well, when you win, now it's all about, oh, well, yeah, Middleton's much better. And it's like, is he really much better or is it because he won, right?
Or,
So
yeah.
if Tobias Harris wins, because I'm telling you, right, if the Sixers go far and potentially win a championship, Tobias is probably not going anywhere. Now, they don't sign him for the max. I can promise you that. He's not getting the max. He's not from the Sixers. But if he produces in the playoffs and the Sixers, you know, let's say they get to the finals and stuff like that, I can definitely see them coming back and saying, okay, well, we're right there. It's just about, you know, tweaking. Because to me, I'm looking at it, if you can upgrade at, like, I like guys like Moses Moody and Bruce Brown might be available. Like, those are the type of pieces that I think the Sixers might have to inquire about right now because that can help you as far as just having an overall team. Because you look at Denver. Denver doesn't have three superstars. They got Jokic, borderline all-star Murray, and then a very good player, Michael Porter Jr., and everybody else is role players. So I think that's what the Sixers might need to do.
Yeah, I mean, at the beginning of the season, it was all about getting that other star, right? That's what it was at the beginning of the season. But once we've seen Tyrese Maxey blossom the way that he has, like that changes your mindset of what the Sixers should do. And Stan, thanks for the call, man. I always love talking hoops with him. He's got a nice YouTube channel going on by the way as well, so check that out. Maxey changed my opinion, right? Like for me, it was Levine or bust, right? Or you know, star player or bust at the beginning of the season. Maxey since changed that. Am I going to deny Zach LaVine? No. You know, bring me all the more talented players you can bring me. But you start seeing what Maxey was able to do, and then you start looking at the Bogdanoviches of the world, you know, the other role players of the world. Tyrone brought up Lauri Markkanen the other day when we were doing the show from the Sixers gal. Like now all of a sudden there's other names where it doesn't have to be this max contract player, like a Dame Lillard, right? We all wanted Dame. It doesn't have to be something like that. It could be somebody that fits a certain role with this team because, like Stan just said, maybe the coach also brings something out of that person. Tyrese Maxey, the way he blossomed, changes the way you can maybe build this team. And, oh, by the way, something that I've been giving Daryl Morey credit for since before the season even started, you already have some depth. You have some decent depth before you made the Harden trade. And then you make the trade for Harden. Now you have legitimate depth on this team. You also have movable pieces. February will be an interesting time leading up to the trade deadline, for sure. 610-632-0975, the number to climb in. We'll get back to the phones in a second. But, Ray, we got some NFL divisional playoffs this weekend. So we got to give some picks that we do every single Friday on our FanDuel Sportsbook app. Some big favorites. We'll start Saturday, 4:30, Texans in Baltimore against the Ravens. And I'm going to tell you right now, I will take the Texans plus 9.5. I think the Ravens ultimately win this football game. But I'm going to take the Texans plus 9.5. And the reason why I say this, that Browns defense is very good. The Ravens defense is very good. That Browns defense is very good. And the Texans.
Brown? Oh, okay.
The Texans' offense and C.J. Stroud did not miss a beat. They'll be. I'm not thinking they're going to score 30-plus points against Baltimore, but the way Baltimore, not necessarily always big plays downfield, clock ticks, Texans have to score on their opportunities to score, or when they have the football, I think they do. I think the Texans keep this within 10 points.
Yeah, plus 9.5 is a solid bet for me. To throw it into the props, I got one, and I got one for you.
Oh, yeah, and you seems like you love it.
The Gus Bus.
Oh, you're all gussed up?
Oh, yeah, all gussed up. Give me Edwards for the anytime.
Now, in terms of payout, I was also looking at anytime touchdown score. Oh, it's dropped to plus 200. Earlier this morning when I was doing my research for the show, it was at plus 300 for the anytime tutty. And that was Isaiah Likely, who had a very big game to close out the season for the Ravens. Now, still no word on Mark Andrews. I don't even see him on the props here. So maybe wait and see what happens with Mark Andrews. I like Isaiah Likely to potentially score a touchdown for the Baltimore Ravens. So you go Gus Bus, I go Likely. Okay. But I'm taking the Texans plus 9.5 in this football game, even though I think Baltimore wins it. Packers 9.5-point road dogs in San Fran. I think the Niners cover, dude. I'm sorry. I think the Packers defense, tremendous job against the Cowboys. We all thought that the Cowboys would put up all these points, and they started to toward the end, but it was garbage time. I don't think San Francisco comes out the gate slow. I don't think they turn the football over that many times. And as much as I'm all on the love train with you, Ray, I think the Niners cover the 9.5-point spread in this one. I'm sorry to tell you. And I'm sorry to everybody because I want the Niners to lose as much as the next guy.
Yeah, this is tough because a week ago I all Jordan loved up, but I did pick the Cowboys, and I almost want to do like the reverse psychology again and see if it works. Because, obviously I play a big role in the way these games happen.
Of course you do, yeah.
The way I pick impacts how this thing goes. But I don't understand how you can't be loved up after last week. I mean, 21 touchdowns to 1 interception since week 12. It's been a big run for the guy, and the guy's going to continue on his big run to the point where they lose by 7.
To the point where they lose and cover, though.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Nice backdoor cover.
I'm not going to go easy way and say Christian McCaffrey anytime touchdown. I'm also not putting up enough money. Minus 350 for a Christian McCaffrey anytime touchdown.
That's gross.
Minus 350. That's freaking ridiculous, dude. Jordan Love touchdown passes. Over-unders 1.5. I like the over. They're going to have to throw the football to stay in the football game. 3 touchdowns last week, 2 the week prior, 3 the week before that, 2 the week prior, 2 before that. 1 against the Giants, then 3, 2, 2. Jordan Love over 1.5 touchdown passes, despite losing, and the 49ers covering.
Yeah, Romeo Doubs over 3.5 receptions and the over 36.5 receiving yards.
That's good. I like that. Okay. Lions 6.5-point favorites against the Bucks. I love Detroit in this game. I think I would have loved Detroit in the game either way. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Philadelphia or Tampa.
I do. I remember when you picked the Cowboys to beat the Eagles.
Yeah. So the Lions, I think they cover against Tampa. The Lions, I looked at this earlier today. I'll pull it up again. Team total is 27.5. I think I like the over in that one. I also like the under for Buccaneers team total. Baker Mayfield is not going to have open receivers all day to throw to. Their over-under is 20.5. Earlier this morning, it was 21.5. I'm probably still taking a look at the under for that one. I think the Lions, I think this one's pretty simple for them. The only thing that holds me, that kind of keeps me at bay is the Jared Goff stat that we gave you earlier a couple weeks ago against pressure, and we know that they're going to blitz all night. But, competent coaches and offensive coordinators may have a plan for that going into a game, unlike Nick Sirianni. So I think the Lions are just fine.
weird one here to be on, but Baker another week where the ankle has been able to heal up a little bit. His over-under for rushing yards only 7.5. I imagine he's going to be moving around quite a bit with that front against the Lions.
Oh, yeah.
He hits the over in his rushing total. Again, 7.5. I think one or two.
rush.
Yeah.
He had an 8-yard run early on against the Eagles.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And so there's a random prop for you.
All right, last game, the Sunday night, 6:30 kickoff. Bills hosting the Chiefs. Bills 2.5-point favorites. I have a feeling that the Chiefs are going to get a lot of money coming in late. I still like the Bills in this game. I think this is Josh Allen's time. And then it's going to be a AFC Championship game between the Bills and Ravens, which is what we both no, did you have the Browns win? No.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
I did. Thanks for that. Appreciate you pointing that one out because I was one that had the guts to go with the Browns.
Don't worry, I had the Lions losing the first round, so
did I.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
I just didn't have the Eagles winning. Because I'm not optimistic.
But then you sandbagged me because
that's not true. You did that to yourself. You believed in the Eagles. That's on you.
I like the Bills in this one to cover the 2.5 against the Chiefs.
Yeah, I'll also take the Bills to cover the 2.5 against the Chiefs here.
And I'll go James Cook anytime, Tutty.
James Cook anytime. Yeah, I like that. Let's see. I'll go with the Allen over. Actually, Rashee Rice. I'll just go with the Allen passing over. I'm not gonna mess with that.
Okay. All right. Well, there you go. There's our picks on this Football Friday, going into the playoffs, divisional round, in which the Eagles are not a part of it. All right. Two things. One, tough day in the sporting world. I believe everybody who was a sports fan in their life had at least one Sports Illustrated magazine at some point in their life. The adult version or the Sports Illustrated for kids, which was something that I freaking loved when I was a kid because they used to put out the projected starting lineups in all 4 sports. And then I would pretend to play as those teams, right, as those players. Sports Illustrated put out a statement to their employees that they're laying off. I forget what the number they said or could be laying off. And then Richard Deitch right away said, yeah, based off of who I've spoken to, they're laying everybody off. So Sports Illustrated magazine seems like died today or whenever the final issue comes out, which that sucks if you're a sports fan.
Yeah. I'm not going to, because they start going into the Arena Group and the licensing agreement with whoever owns it and all that stuff.
I know it's not the same. We, when was it? Probably 2 months ago now. There was that AI generated story that came out where they were on their website, not the magazine itself, but on the Sports Illustrated website, they were publishing stories that were written by AI generated things. And that can't freaking happen, man. And that's the beginning. If you want to talk about the beginning of an end,
well,
there was already beginnings of the end for that. But yeah, just a tough day. Major news in the sports media world that Sports Illustrated is coming to an end, which sucks. The other thing, before we go back to the phone, something that I don't agree with. Philadelphia's finest, Philadelphia Police Department, put out a statement today. And don't worry, I'm not getting political here. I never do that. They put out a tweet today to remind the Philadelphians that when you shovel out your snow for your car, it is illegal to leave a cone in the spot. Okay. I hate on June 1st when somebody has a chair out. If somebody does the work to shovel their car out of their spot on the streets of Manayunk, up and down Philadelphia, I feel like you should be able to get your spot back if you put in the work to shovel out that spot.
Not going to get an argument from me.
Well, I mean, you're living it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm lucky. Where I live, the parking situation in front of me. Yeah.
Okay.
We're basically, Federal Donuts. If they're having a poppin' day over there, maybe I'll be worried about the number of people parking on our street. Otherwise, I'm pretty good.
I think like literally the hashtag at the end was no savesies. If you shovel out your car and shovel out the spot in front of your house, I think you should be able to maintain that spot as long as you're back by the end of the day. It's like the people complain about the resort people that put the towel down.
Oh, yeah. No, I was listening that day. Yeah.
If you're back within 30 minutes, like,
right.
Say if you put the towel down at 6 o'clock in the morning, you don't sit down at your spot till 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Like, yeah, you're a jerk. If you dig out your car for your job and you're back by normal hours, I'm not saying you're gone for the weekend and you come back and you save the spot for 2 nights. You should be able to get your spot back.
No, I forgot about this. I got so distracted by the sports. I have a problem and a grievance to air here about my car.
Okay.
Because I went just after the last segment, in the commercial break, looked out the window, just see what the snow was like.
Okay.
Somebody around here, I won't say works here. I don't know if they work here. Someone that might have been walking through our parking lot found it funny to draw something in the snow.
No.
On my windshield.
No.
Yeah.
You got a Johnson?
Uh-huh.
There's a Johnson on the windshield?
Mm-hmm.
Dude.
Yep. Now, what am I going to do? Go down there and I can't. In between breaks.
Do you have a theory of who it is?
I don't.
It's
honestly.
Not, hand to God, not me.
I figured it wasn't you.
Yeah, but I know your. I'm trying to think like who knows the car that you drive.
Someone that's here the weekends.
Who's here on the weekends? It's here right now.
I know at some point B Gun had said he might go get lunch, so there's a start.
Oh,
I can't
nice.
Can't be for certain that's not him.
Ricky Bo's got a Phantoms jersey on. That's awesome, dude. You got the Johnson written on drawn on your car.
Yeah, on the windshield. Brutal. Look down there.
They're all looking at it right now. But B Guns, he's cackling out there.
He's cackling.
But literally, B Gun, Dylan, and Jen all just walked over to the window to look at it. Interesting.
He is so guilty. He is so beyond guilty.
So Brendan Gunn, man,
think you know a guy.
Temple alum who wears Nova gear all the time.
Checks out.
Yeah,
that makes a lot of sense. I'm a little disappointed. I'll be honest. A little disappointed. The fact that the Avalon made it here.
That alone.
Like it still has to make it home.
Yes.
But the fact that it made it here, I don't think that's the way we should celebrate that car making it through the snow.
No, we should. We should pay some respect.
Yeah, a little disappointing.
I mean, respect your elders. Yeah, cars.
Oh yeah,
that
car.
I was
gonna say elders. Car's as old as I.
That car's an elder right there. All right. Unbelievable. Tyrone's glad. Everybody's yucking it up out there. At your expense.
I'm so glad.
Everybody's yucking it up out there.
I'm so glad everyone's so entertained. I really hope everyone else has a really great day.
But what started all of this, Philadelphia Police Department. Come on. Cut the working man some slack. If somebody has to dig out their car, and it's an art to dig out your car, because if you're parallel parking, there's not much space. You don't want to scratch up the car in front of you or your own car when you're digging out the snow. Cut some slack to the working man that has to dig their car out of the snow early on and is coming back later on the day, especially when a lot of people aren't on the roads. Look, we're essential employees here, Ray.
Of course we are.
Pay respect to the essential employee.
It doesn't feel like I was respected as an essential employee today.
You were not respected whatsoever. All right, everybody listen, have a great weekend. Have a great rest of your day. Enjoy non-Philadelphia Eagles weekend, right? There's going to be some good games in the divisional round of the playoffs. We got an afternoon hockey game tomorrow that I can't wait to watch when they take on the Avalanche. So Flyers hockey coming your way tomorrow. Obviously the Sixers, so much fun to watch. Real quick, Eric wants to talk some Flyers. What's up, Eric?
Yo, what's up, guys?
I got less than a minute, but I would love to hear a Flyers call, man.
Dude, first-time caller. I just want to say it's a to a previous caller who said, this team's going to disappoint us in the end. My argument, dude, there's nothing this team can do towards the end of the season that's going to really cause that much. How can they disappoint us? They've exceeded all expectations thus far this year, and we're in a rebuild. The goal isn't to win right now. Long-term success. I mean, look at what let's see what we were looking at coming into the year. Is the locker room figured out? The locker room's awesome.
And it's amazing. We got the streets are talking. There's graffiti saying "Let's go Flyers." Eric, I appreciate the call. Once the streets start talking, the team's back. And then when Twitter blows up with the Owen Tippett goal yesterday, Flyers hockey, man, it's got some life. All right, everybody have a great weekend. Be safe out there driving wherever you're heading. Make sure when you're cozying up at home, you listen to the best show ever. Ricky Patalico has one more show before the weekend. Everybody have a great rest of your day. We'll talk to you on Monday.
Fanatic Sports Update.
A meeting of the minds. I'm Ray Dunn. This update is brought to you by BQ Basements and Concrete. If your basement or crawl space smells musty or has water marks on the block walls, you need to get a free home inspection from the experts. Go to basementsbybq.com. Nick Sirianni is scheduled to meet with Jeffrey Lurie as the Philadelphia Inquirer's Jeff McClain reported yesterday that Eagles head coach Nick Sirianni will meet with owner Jeffrey Lurie today. The Athletics' Diana Rossini reported earlier this week that Sirianni and Howie Roseman have been reaching out to NFL coaches and coordinators as Sirianni prepares his plan for Jeffrey Lurie and that meeting today. In other Eagles coaching news, offensive coordinator Brian Johnson completed his third head coaching interview, this time with the Atlanta Falcons. The Flyers won their fifth game in a row last night, beating the Dallas Stars 5-1. Owen Tippett had 2 goals, including this incredible one.
Dallas gets it back to the line, and a shot missing the net from the far point was Handley. Philadelphia the other way. Tippett with speed, cuts into the middle. Dipsy-doo, back in. He scores! Oh, what a goal by Owen Tippett! It's highlight real time as Tippett's got his second of the game, and the Flyers go up 5-1.
Flyers return to action Saturday at 1 o'clock against the Colorado Avalanche. 76ers back in action tonight in Orlando. Tip-off at 7 o'clock. Catch the live call right here on 97.5 The Fanatic. This update's also brought to you by Lowe's. Shop the close at event now at Lowe's with big savings on the appliances you need now. Lowe's knows home improvement. Shop the close at event now at Lowe's. Keep it locked here for all the latest news and information. I'm Ray Dunn, the home for the Sixers and Flyers. 97.5 The Fanatic.
This is Paul Reed, reminding you every 76ers game, home and away, right here, 97.5 The Fanatic.
The big plays, the moments that matter. Mo Bamba here to tell you that this is the radio home of the Philadelphia 76ers. 97.5 The Fanatic.
Guys, if you listen to this station for any length of time, you heard the commercials talking about ED. If you tune out when they come on because you think ED only happens to older men, you might want to listen up. Recent studies have shown that ED is affecting younger men in growing numbers. In fact, 25% of men under age 40 have experienced some form of ED. That's 1 out of every 4 men under age 40. And those numbers are only predicted to grow over the coming years. Fortunately, Alpha Men Center can help. In fact, Alpha Men Center has a 96% success rate treating ED. 96%. That's no joke. And right now, your first consultation at Alpha Men Center is only